Hey guys, Chaos Shinobi here. This is a story where Naruto finds the Omnitrix at the age of 10. Watch Naruto save the world with the power of all aliens. Now let's begin. Chapter 9. Sol System, Planet Earth, Land of Fire, Konoha, Uzumaki Compound. After the chaos that was breakfast, things started to return to normal slowly. Tsume, Hiruzen, Bawako, Tobium, Madara and Hashirama went to the council to find out what the civilians want now. Mikoto, Shizune, Kurenai, Hana, Anko and Rin went shopping for food and more furniture as well as other essentials. The compound only has beds in each room, plates that Kiba destroyed a kitchen table. Shinsui, Asuma and his sister Mimi went to work. Kakashi and Guy started their monthly challenge. Kiba went to school along with Tenma, who had been sent back to school. Tsunade was giving a tour of Konoha to the magic users that are with Naruto. Jiraiya and Tetrax was figuring out where the furniture will go before the woman return and change where they all go. Mito was teaching Naruto about his clan while Rias was listening to the lesson. "So I have 2 guards?" Naruto asked. "Yes, the Yang guard is granted the ability to heal on the same level as a Jinchuriki," Mito answered, while the In guard has the ability to use Genjutsu on the same level as the Kurama clan. "But the Kurama can make real illusions," Naruto stated as he thought this over. "Yes, but with our abnormally large chakra, the all-In guards can make any and or all Genjutsu real," Mito replied. "Amazing," the prince said as he processed this information. "Now for your lesson, we will start with the 3 starts of ninjutsu," Mito told him as she led him and Rias to a large room with 3 training posts. First for Henge no Jutsu, transformation technique. Usually this is just a disguise, but we make it so that everything changes. How, Rias asked. "Because Uzumakis have so much chakra, we have problems with the simple jutsu, we have to use a lot of chakra," Mito told her as her form went up in smoke and she was replaced with a wolf. And so Naruto kept training until he could turn into a real wolf as well. It took about 3 to 4 hours. "Well done, young prince," Mito said as she watched Naruto walk around as a wolf. A portal opened in the training room with a silver-haired maid stepped out of the portal, and as it closed behind her, she started looking around until she saw Rias. "Lady Rias, you and your fiancé are want in hell so that your family can meet him," the maid said. "What do you mean, Grafia?" Rias asked her. "Do you know her?" Mito asked the young devil. "She is my brother's queen, my sister-in-law and maid to the Gremory family," Rias replied. "And I mean that your mother and father wish to apologize for what they have done and would like to meet fiancé and Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki," the Gremory maid said. Naruto, still in wolf form, gazed at her, and with a nod from Rias, he turned back to normal with a burst of smoke. "I am Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki," Naruto said as he looked at her. Grafia looked him over and asked, "Do you have any formal clothing?" "How formal?" Mito asked. "Well, he is meeting his soon-to-be in-laws," the maid answered. "I see," Mito said, turning to her great-great-grandson. "My prince, I have just the thing for you," she said before walking out calling, "Follow me," as the maid and the 2 10-year-olds followed her. Mito had dropped Grafia and Rias in the living room. "Why is your fiancé being called Prince?" Grafia asked. "The Uzumaki clan is like another human clan called the Hyuga clan," Rias said, looking at her before looking away and continuing. "The clan is split in 2, but unlike the Hyuga, the Uzumaki don't call them branch, they call them Yuzu, while the royal family is called Dai Yuzu." "I see, so he is a prince," the maid muttered. "What else can you tell me about the Uzumaki clan?" "From what I know, there are now 4 Uzumakis left," Rias said, shocking Grafia. "Why so small?" "The villages of Iwa, Kumo and Kiri attacked them in the Second Ninja War, and before the Uzumaki was brought to the brink of extinction, they took out half of the combined forces of the 3 ninja village." "How did they do that?" "A lot of things," Mito said as she walked back in with Naruto following her in his formal clothes. He was in a burnt orange nagagi, a jet black sash, another crimson haori with the same black flames on the bottom and the Uzumaki spiral. He was wearing a pair of navy blue hakama, white tabi socks and set of sandals. Rias looked at him and condominium not form words with how he looked. Grafia, on the other hand. "You look handsome." Mito handed her something, and she raised a brow. "Thank you," Naruto thanked her as he walked up to her. Rias, still in shock, stood in front of the silver-haired maid as a portal opened behind Grafia, and all 3 of them walked through it. Hell, Gremory Mansion. Naruto, Rias and Grafia stepped out of a portal, and they were greeted by about 100 maids and butlers. "Welcome home, Lady Rias," they all called. The three walked up to the doors of the mansion and 8 people standing at the door. The first is a man with the same long crimson hair as Rias. He has a small bit of stubble on his face. He has blue eyes with fair skin. He wore a white suit with gold aesthetics and a black dress shirt. Next to him was a woman that looked like an older version of Rias with flaxen hair and violet eyes. She wore a white dress with a black aesthetic, a necklace with a flower pattern, and a silver choker with a red gem. Next is another man with long crimson hair with green-blue eyes and fair skin. He was in a black suit with a brown waistcoat, white dress shirt, and green tie. The next was a little boy with short crimson hair with red eyes with fair skin. He wore black shorts, a gray shirt other that he wore a red and brown tailcoat. There was a man in Shizengumi uniform. He was bold with blue eyes. The next is a tall man with a wild aura with spiked orange hair and a thick coat. The next was a thin man with sharp eyes. He was in a red robe with a unique design. The last one was a man in a business suit. "Rias, welcome home," the woman yelled as she ran up to Rias and hugged her. "Hello, mother," Rias said as she tried not to look at her. To woman see this turned to Naruto. "And you must be Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am," he answered as he bowed at her. "Please let me introduce myself," she said. "I'm Venelana Gremory." The maids and butlers walked back inside as the 4 of them walked up to the men and small boy. "The man in the white suit is my husband, Zeoticus Gremory. The other crimson-haired man is my son and Rias's brother Surzex Lucifer," she said. "Lucifer?" Naruto asked her. "He holds the seat of the 4 great devil kings. Anyway, the small boy is his son Milikas Gremory. Then we have his peerage Suji Okita, Searcher Second, McGregor Mathers and Beowulf," Venelana said, pointing to each person. As they all went about their business, the Gremory family and Naruto with Misaka's not bothering with his father as he tried to get his new uncle to show him some ninja tricks. "Grafia, what is that you have?" Surzex asked his wife as he pointed at the scroll in her hands. "I don't know, Prince Naruto's teacher handed it to me," she said as she gave it to Naruto to read. "My, would Lady Mito give you this?" he said as he scanned the scroll, and before stopping at something, "I see." Naruto looked up and asked, "Who, the head of the Gremory clan?" "I am," Zeodia said. "Why?" he asked as he was handed the scroll and read it. "Oh, I see. What would you like in return?" he asked. "Honey, what is it?" his wife asked. "Something that says is the Gremory clan needs help, ninja from the Uzumaki clan will help, or if the Uzumaki clan needs help, the Gremory clan will lend aid." "What do we get?" Rias asked her fiancé. 25,000 gold coins," Naruto said back to her and turned to his eventual father-in-law and said, "And whatever you can do to match." "I see. Well, how about lessons on subjects of your pick?" he asked. Naruto thought this over and nodded his head, and along with Zeodius. Milikas turned to his father as to see him reading a list of names. "Father, what is that?" he asked. "Lord Sparta is looking as a hare," he said, gaining the attention of his family. "Don't he have 2 sons?" Venelana asked, sipping a cup of tea that a maid brought in. "You, but they have Angle blood," he said, saddening the family. "What is wrong with that?" Naruto asked. Grafia turned to him. "You see, Prince Naruto, is that even though there are a few families that are okay with Nephilim or Angle and Devil-born, there are a lot more than at the mere thought of someone with that blood," she said, drawing off. "Ah, I see. It's kind of the same as in the ninja villages," Naruto said. "How so?" Rias asked. "Well, if I'm getting this right, this Sparta is high-ranking," he asked. "Yes, he is the true leader of hell," Venelana answered. "Well, for the ninja villages we have our leaders, the Kage." Naruto started looking around at the devils. "Konoha has the Hokage. So when we need a new one they are voted in, but anyone from the Uchiha clan will not be counted as a Hokage candidate," he continued. "Why?" Surzex asked. "Same reason as the Angle blood," Naruto stated. "I see. What is Uchiha did about that?" Zeotius asked. "They stopped after once the 3rd Hokage was given the post because there was 50 Uchiha that put their name to be Hokage, and they was always passed over by Hiruzen Sarutobi," Naruto said and started thinking. "So the Uchiha clan started giving their allies their Kekai Genkai." "Kekai Genkai?" asked Milikas asked. "Some clans have a unique ability like our power of destruction," Rias told her nephew. "I see," the young boy said. Yes, so the Uchiha clan would literally give their eyes, Naruto continued. So the Uchiha have are like the Uzumaki and have a dojutsu? Rias asked. Yes, it's called the Sharingan, Naruto told her. I think I see, so if say someone with the Sharingan became Hokage, Grafia started. Then someone that was born with them can be as well. The Crimson Satan finished with the Prince of Whirlpools nodding. Lord Spada would have to have a half-human hair that hell likes, and once that they can then see the power form a half-angle. Grafia finished for her husband. I have an idea, but it is a long shot, Zeodius said, looking at his son. What, father? Naruto, before I say anything, would you object to having devil blood in your veins? The head of the Gremory clan asked. I get what you're going for, but what would it do to my Uzumaki blood? He asked back. It would boost your blood tenfold. Before Naruto could speak, an orange flame portal opened, and 8 people with bold hair stepped out, 2 female, 5 male. Zeodius, my friend, is you youngest returned? The oldest of the bold males asked as he walked in. Yes, Lord Mako, she has, and brought back her new fiancé, Venelana said as she indicated to Naruto and Rias. But a man in a maroon suit started but was cut off by the oldest woman. I see, why is Razor no longer her fiancé? She asked. You see, your son sent a shadow beast after her and Naruto saved her, Lady Gremory answered. I see, the woman looked at her son that tried to speak and shoot him a glare. Well, on the honor of the Phoenix clan, we offer an apology to both of you, she said, bowing low. Lady Phoenix, I accept your apology, but my fiancé, my not, Naruto said for himself as he pointed before pointing to Rias. He is right, I had the wicked Dreadroot chasing me, so why should accept the apology? Rias asked, shocking her family. There were massive power spikes in the room, come the Gremory clan shacking the room as everyone glared at Razor. You, Mako Phoenix said quietly. What, father? Razor asked, not feeling the tension in the room. I said, you fucking moron. Mako exploded at his son with blue and gold flames dancing him, forming wings. I told you to leave her alone and then meet and teat her nicely, but no. But father, he spoke weakly as the heat around started to increase as his mother with the same blue and gold flames added. Razor, shut up for once. She spoke with a voice that sounded like a roaring fire. You not only have bought same on the Phoenix clan but all of hell, she yelled. The youngest girl asked, what do we do, mother? That will depend on how severe the crime was, Lady Phoenix said before turning to Surzex. What is his punishment? She asked. Well, he sent the Armor Knight Werewolf, Armor Knight Lizardman and the Wicked Dreadroot after her on Eden, he said as he pulled out a piece of paper. Your son, send an equivalent of 21 levels. The Wicked Dreadroot 10 plus Armor Knight Lizardman, size 1, 6 plus Armor Knight Werewolf, size 1, 5. And I believe a level 10 Shadow Beast is a life and a level 1 is gold. The Satan said after doing some maths before getting cut off by a bang made of moonlight, spoke to both Naruto and Rias. We have sealed 2 another Shadow Beasts by the names of Iron Cyclops, size 3, 12, and Demonic Beast, Grendel, size 3, 9. It said before fading out as Riser started getting paler. Make the level 42 then, he said before turning to his sister Rias, he asked. Well, first Ravel must marry Naruto to help him bring back his clan, she started. Her father nodded and then she grew a smile that a true devil would have while looking at Razor. Next we will go for level 3, 7 and 4, she said as she walked up, shocking Riser as he tried to stand tall but started to back up and getting pale. You have 16 levels remaining, sis, the Lucifer said. Then let's go with level 11, she as Riser fell on his ass. Please any but that, he begged as he felt his magic being transferred to Naruto. And to finish off 2 level 2s and a level 1, she said, standing in front of Riser, and he nodded in defeat. So just so I'm getting this right, you have invoked rule level 12. The person that send the Shadow Beast must have a member of their family marry someone of the victim's choosing. 11. The person that send the Shadow Beast gives their magic to someone of the victim's choosing. 7. Person that send the Shadow Beast must give the victim all their properties. 4. Person that send the Shadow Beast must give someone of the victim's choosing all their possessions. This includes peerage will become servants to that person's family. 3. Person that send the Shadow Beast must give someone of the victim's choosing all their wealth. 2. Twice, person that send the Shadow Beast must give someone of the victim's choosing a familiar. And 1. The family of the person that send the Shadow Beast must pay someone of the victim's choosing 4,000 gold coins. Surzex asked. Yes, Rias said as a woman in a cheongsam ran in and yelled. All of Lord Riser's shadow beasts have escaped. This shocked them all as they turned to Graphia to see and said. Riser still sent the others, so Lord Mako turned to the woman. Shualon call the rest of my son's former peerage, he asked. After a couple minutes, 14 women stood as they were looking at Lord Phoenix. Lord Phoenix, why have you called us? A woman with long wavy purple hair asked. Well, Yabluna, you and the rest of my son's former peerage will be maids of this young man from now on, Mako said as he indicated to Naruto. Why, my lord? Asked a woman dressed in armor. Well, Carmine, my son, has violated the laws on the shadow beasts by setting them on Rias outside of a game, Lady Phoenix told her, shocking her and the rest of the girls as they felt their evil pieces leave them and drop to the floor. They all walked up to Naruto and dropped to one knee as Yabluna spoke. Please treat us well, Lord Prince, she was saying before Graphia interrupted. Finally hearing her words, the Gremory clan minus Rias looked at Naruto. He nodded his head. So you are a prince? Venelana asked him. Yes, I'm the son of Kushina Uzumaki, the queen of the Uzumaki clan, he replied. Now the heat around Riser was increasing by his two brothers and sister. Prince Naruto, I would like to say that my son, Mako said before Riser yelled out. I, Riser Phoenix, challenge you, Naruto Uzumaki, to a battle, and before anyone could stop him he started to mutate with his wings and fused together his long wings. His legs turned into talons with 5 metallic tail feathers shot out of his back. With his head turning into a bird's head, his turned into a ruby-like color. The devil-turned-bird just stood there before rising up to the shooting fire at Naruto. Ox, monkey, hare, rat, boar, bird, ox, horse, bird, rat, tiger, dog, tiger, snake, ox, ram, snake, boar, ram, rat, monkey, bird, dragon, bird, ox, horse, ram, tiger, snake, rat, monkey, hare, boar, dragon, ram, rat, ox, monkey, bird, rat, boar, bird. Naruto called each hand seal. Suetun, Suryuden no Jutsu, water release, water dragon bullet technique. Naruto called as the water of the Gremory fountain rose up into a serpentine dragon and blasted thou the fire and hitting Riser with it. What is he? The ninja in training asked. He is in the phoenix form, Lady Phoenix said as she gazed at her son with sadness in her eyes. You look sad, why is that? He asked. If a member of the Phoenix family takes that form, they can never turn back to normal. They turn into a shadow beast, Mako said as he watched the water dragon battle his son. I see, Naruto said as he saw Zeodius brought you a stone tablet. Rias, Naruto asked as Rias nodded, and did the ceiling chant as water started to coalesce around Naruto's arm, making a swirling blade of water, and jumped at Riser. What was that? Millikas watched in awe as his soon-to-be uncle attacked the newly formed shadow beast with a water dragon and sword. That is the Suetun, Koka Suejin, water release, hard whirlpool water blade, Rias said as she was watching the battle as her energy chins attacked Riser, as well, a jutsu that was created by the Uzumaki clan and Tobium Senju. The chains of energy that was getting Riser soon were destroyed by the bird as her family started joining in as us the Phoenix and the Uzumaki maids. Naruto, you have enough light, the traveler said as blue energy stars to crackle around Naruto as he raised his fist in the Superman pose and shot at the Phoenix and hitting it in the back, making it start to crash to the ground. Naruto with his hands in the snake seal yelled. Raitun, John, lightning release, false darkness. And he spat out a lightning spear at the same time that the water dragon hit it, blaming it. Lose continues, but not before shotting a massive-tailed beast bomb-sized fireball at Naruto. All the devils could do was watch as the fireball had consumed Naruto. No one moved as the form of Riser was sealed in the stone tablet with a new name, the name of Nightmare Phoenix. Rias seen the water dragon try to deal with the fire before finalizing the chakra ran out. Everything and everyone was still. Then some black and crimson energy started to make a shield around something, and it ate away at the fire. The black and crimson energy started to form flame-like waves as Naruto could be seen with a black sword in his hand, the same sword that he witnessed in his dreams. Naruto, you now hold me in my sealed state. The voice of his Zanpakuto said, well done. Naruto flouted down, and as he did, he was tackled, hugged by Rias. Don't you ever frighten me like that, she yelled. Lord Gremory nodded his head and walked up to Naruto and asked, Naruto, would you take the blood of Lord Sparta if asked? If he would have me. After getting his wounds treated by a doctor, Naruto was sewing some E-rank jutsu to his soon-to-be nephew by turning into anything that he wanted. After a couple of hours, they all were greeted by a poshly dressed man with silver hair combed back with a monocle in over his right eye. This was Lord Sparta. "Sirs, why have I been called for?" he asked the holder of the Lucifer name. "My lord," he indicated to himself, "and his father believe that if you would make this young man your heir," he said as indicated to Naruto, who walked up and bowed to the man. Sparta walked around the young Uzumaki and asked, "How many children will you have, human?" "That will depend on how many wives I marry in the future, but from Rias or Raval will be from 1 to 3 children each," Naruto said. "Gender that your clan will produce." "Hold out your arms," Lord Sparta asked as he examined the Zanpakuto strapped to Naruto's back. 50-50 must the woman of my clan has always been stronger than the men," Naruto said as he held his arms out as instructed. "Do you have any bloodline limit and a true bloodline?" he asked as he looked at the boy's hands and feet to see scars from training. "Yes to both. I am heir to the Uzumaki clan and thus being the pants of the clan, and I will unlock the Uzumaki Kekii Genkai the Rinnegan as well as other artificial Kekii Genkai, Kekii Toda and Kekii Mora my clan has made." "I see," Sparta said, impressed by all this information. "Name Theses' abilities," he said as he thought he just might do. "The Rinnegan gives the user all elementals, the eye power of the Uchiha. It also provides the person with the ability to summon any animal from the user's mind. They can turn their body into a weapon, absorb chakra from their target or from a jutsu, revive the dead, take the soul of someone, can control gravity, can call on the being known as the King of Hell. It can also make clones of themselves in the limbo realm, can space shift with anything with ocular range, can transform chakra and living individuals into edibles, can help analyze code, and can summon the body of the Ten-Tails," Naruto said as he listed off what his eyes can do. "The Uzumaki Cal also has the Zanpakuto, a section sword that is from our soul, inner hollow that can be used to make the darker half of the Uzumaki fiscal. The doll can be called out the doll once the user are both ready. The fairies the user must have, the timing must be right. And my clan is B-list with longevity." Now Sparta was beyond impressed and nodded his head and told Naruto to follow him. So he did, with Grafia getting Tsunade and Mito. "Rias, why are we here?" Tsunade asked. "I think that you could help transfer blood from Lord Sparta to Naruto," Rias said as she started to explain everything to her. "I see," as she looked at the maid, and they were lead off. As they all sat down, a girl with turquoise hair asked Mito, "Are you Lord Naruto's mum?" "No, child. I'm his great-great-grandmother on his father's side, while on his mother's side great-great-grandmother," said, shocking all thous in the room. "How?" Shualan asked her. "Well, you see this little fellow," Mito brought out her ghost. "He brought me back to life." "No, not that the part where you both his great-great-grandmother and greer-great-greer-grandmother at the same time," Mako asked. "Well, you see, I give birth to twins, my son and daughter. My son did not show any of the traits of the head to the Uzumaki clan, so he became the heir to the Senju clan. My daughter did, so she had to be trained by me to be the next queen, and once she was 15, she was sent to Yuzu to rule as queen. My son married and had a daughter, then a son later on, while my daughter had triplets, a son and 2 daughters. The son became the king while my granddaughter formed. My son married, her husband Mito started before taking a sip of tea and continued. The great-grandson was marrying because he had a child on the way. The end could be said for Tsuna. The king had a daughter being Naruto's mother, while Tsunade gave birth to a son, his father Minato Namikaze." Everyone nodded their heads after taking in all this information, and so Milikas was asking her questions about ninja. "How many jutsu are there?" "Too many to count," she replied. "What about villages?" "A lot, but 5 main villages," she said. "Konoha, Kiri, Iwa, Kumo and Suna," she listed. "What is so special about them?" "Well, Konoha has the most clans of any ninja village, and they were the first ever village. Kiri thou has the most Kekii Genkai, and they specialize in the silent kill. Iwa is known for their Tsushikage because they all know Jin-tun, dust release, and Baku-tun, explosion release. Kumo is famed for their Korwa Kaminari, black lightning, made by the third Reikage, and Suna because their use of the puppet master technique and their use of sand, iron sand and gold dust from their Kazakage Mito," explained. And the questions kept flowing until the boy ran out of them, and it was then Naruto walked in with a silver fur wolf and Lord Sparta. Mito nodded as she could feel the power leaking out of the young prince, and so Grafia opened a portal for them, and so they returned to the Uzumaki compound. Land of Rain, AIM. A man with an orange mask with a single eye hole was looking over the village while a plant human thing came out of the floor behind him. The QB has returned, the plant said. So he has, the man said as his voice was deep and menacing. What do you want to do? The pant asked. We wait for the time to strike, he said as he turned around and saw everyone that was listening to a man with orange hair talk to someone and turned to his right to see a Konoha elder, the one in bandages. Danzo, my friend, you know what to do, he said. Very well, Obito, Danzo said as he left. Obito then turned to the orange-haired man as he was walking up to him. Pain, how goes the gathering of members? Soul System, Planet Earth, Land of Rain, Amigakure, Tower of Pain. Obito Uchiha was watching a group of orange-haired people with the same eyes give out orders as a Venus flytrap person with white and black came out of the floor. Obito Konoha knows that you are alive, the black half of the body said as it looked at Obito. How, he asked the plant. Naruto Uzumaki along with the third Hokage and Kakashi Hatake did the maths and found out that you were the only one that fit the description, the white half answered, and Madara Uchiha has been rejuvenated and brought back to life by some robot. Obito clenched his fist and turned to Platman. Great, now I can't use that name. Even more, you have been seen my Naruto Uzumaki when he was a newborn, the black half added. Even better, he spat. Any other bad news, Zetsu? He asked. Yes, Hashirama and Tobium Senju has also been brought back to life. Naruto Uzumaki can turn into aliens. He has gained his Zanpakuto's sealed form. He has gained devil blood that is flowing through his veins. And finally, he has started to be trained in magic. Obito started going over all this information, and he started to make plans to counter each of this Zetsu told him. They will not work, but I made it seem like he had a chance. A man with orange hair walked up to Obito. I have sent out Azum and my Azura path to find someone called Nadar Roga, he stated, while Konan and my human path are to get someone called Jiro Shinji, Kakazu's partner. I see anything else? Obito asked. Yes, I would like you and my Deva path to find the experiment known as Shin Uchiha, he replied as he could see the curiosity bloom, as well as Senzetsu and my Unemail path to find the Gold and Silver brothers, while my remaining two paths go and retrieve Aoi Rokusho, he continued. Well done, Pain, Obito said as he nodded his head before grabbing the man's shoulder, and they dispersed in a black hole. Land of Snow, outskirts of Yukigakure. Two people with black cloaks walked through the snow up to a large iron building. Is this it? One asked. Yes, it is, the other replied. I see, the first one looked up as their eyes turned red with 3 tome in it before turning into a 3-bladed shuriken. Izumi, we need not fight. Just as he said that 20 people stepped out armed to the teeth, never mind. Land of Lightning, Valley of Thunder. A brown-haired man was eating in a small bar as 2 people in black cloaks walked in and sat in front on him. Jiro Shinji, the woman asked. Yeah, Jiro answered. My name is Konan Uzumaki and my husband would like you to join our group, she asked. Why should I? Jiro asked. We know that you hate that Kumo lets the Nibi Jinchuriki go free after they went on a rampage. Lord Raikage told me that they would find me. He thought as he gazed at them, the Akatsuki. So what do you want? The man asked. Jiro looked at them and remembering the words of the Raikage find. But I want my own partner, he said. That's fine, Konan said as she pulled out a ring with the symbol of Nishi, West, on it. Land of Earth, Valley of Granite. Pain and Obito walked into the valley with Pain telling him everything that has happened so far. Izumi and my Azura is fighting Yukinin while Jiro has decided to join us, he said. I see anything from your other paths and Zetsu? Obito asked as they walked to the experiment of an Uchiha. Ginkaku and Kinkaku has said they want to join only if they can go after the Kyuubi, while Aoi said that he was happy to join. He told the masked man until a small boy met them with hair in the shape on an onion gray cloths with a purple sash. The boy had pale skin. Can I help you? The boy asked. We are looking for Shin Uchiha, Obito said with his Sharingan activated. We are Shin Uchiha, voices from all around them said as clones of the boy stepped out with a bald man. But I am the original Shin Uchiha, Shin Uchiha said with a twisted smile on his face. We are here to ask is you to join the Akatsuki, Pain asked. What's in it for me? He asked us. All the clones got ready to attack. What do you want? Obito asked. The death of Konoha and my clones join as well, Shin said plainly. That can be arranged, they both said. He nodded as all the clones stood down as Shin wailed up to Obito and shook his hand. "Welcome," Pain said as he gave Shin a rin with the symbol of Tora, tiger. "This is going to be fun," Obito said as he sucked everyone into the black hole that sprouted from his eye not seeing and IWing. "Have to tell Lord Tsuchikage about this," he said as he ran back to the village. Land of snow, outskirts of Yukigekure. Izumi and Pain as standing over corpses of the Yukinin as three men walked out. The first man has purple hair tied back into a ponytail, a larger man with a cropped dark purple hair, and finally the last was a tall man with black hair sicked back. "So what do we have the pleasure of meeting the Uchiha Crow?" the tall man said. "I have come with a proposition for all three of you," Pain said, cutting of Izumi looking at the three men. "And what would that be?" the man with the ponytail said. "Join the Akatsuki and bring peace to the world. Land of Fire, Konoha, Uzumaki Compound." Naruto Uzumaki was sitting down and drawing something on a paper as we were being watched by a woman dressed as a shrine maiden with a yellow fox mask. "For you to use some types of magic you will need a magic circle," she said. "What magics?" Naruto asked as he drew. "Summon magic and high-class magic," she replied. All of Naruto's fiancés are there reading about the ninja world and being taught by Hashirama, Madara, Tobium, Mito, Shizune, Rin, Tsunade, and Jiraiya. "So what do you do if Naruto is away on a mission and the Uzumaki clan is needed for a meeting?" Hashirama asked. "The head wife will go to the meeting, and if she is not here the most experienced will go," Suppi said. "Yes, if a clan has beef with the Uzumaki, what do you do?" Tobium asked them. "We find out what is wrong and find a resolution," Batet told them, getting a nod from the second Hokage. "What is the Uzumaki clan motto?" Mito asked. "Family is our chakra. Chakra is our body. Body is the whirlpool. As the sage lives the whirlpool flows," Rias answered. "Why is the sage so important?" Madara asked. "He is the founder of the ninja," Isis answered her. "What are three types of ninja arts?" Shizen asked. "Ninjutsu, taijutsu, genjutsu," Blanc said as she read a book on the Second War. "What are the ranks of the ninja?" Rin asked. "Academy student, genin, chunin, special jonin, jonin, umbu, sanin, and then kage," Mana said as she tried to remember each rank. "Who do the ninja order to?" Tsunade asked. "The kage of their village," Kizara and Trish said at the same time as they fed their dragons. "What are the five ninja elements?" Jiraiya asked. "Fire, water, earth, lightning, and wind." Wendy listed off the elements. The questions and answers went back, and fourth's B for a crow with a scroll in its beak flew in. "That from Izumi?" Jiraiya asked as the crow nodded, and so he took it and read it, feeling the bad news. Tsunade turned to her husband. "What's is it?" "The Akatsuki has gained 208 more members," Jiraiya said, drawing the attention of Naruto, who got a bonk on the head and told him to return to his work. "How so many?" Tetrax asked as he had a bad feeling in his stomach. "Well, clones of an Uchiha experiment by Orochi, who is not in control of her own body," Jiraiya read, not seeing his wife look shocked at that, and Dodo Kazuhana had gathered forces and joined with him as well. "What's this about an Uchiha experiment?" Madara asked. "Orochi, on the orders of someone on Konoha Council, was to make an Uchiha as strong as you," the Toad Sage replied. "Who?" she asked as her eyes turned to Mangekyo Sharingan, demanding blood. "Izumi don't know, and neither do I," he honestly told her. Madara was about to go and kill the council. Hashirama stopped her. "Killing them all will do nothing but make them hate the Uchiha more," she said to her best friend. "And we need evidence," Tobium added. "Fine, but how do we get evidence?" she asked. No one spoke. Then Rias got an idea as a bat poked in the air around her. "Maki, can you send word to my brother to investigate something here?" she asked her bat as it nodded and disappeared. Everyone was tense before a light was shining by Naruto and jumped off the paper. A six-winged dragon was within 6 hexagons with Latin writing. Around that was a dragon breathing fire, and around that was more Latin writing along with 4 symbols. "Well done, Lord Naruto," his teacher said as the magic circle started to float down to him before merging with him. Naruto's mindscape. Over the fields of grass, an obelisk with dragon sculpture rose from the ground with his magic circle engraves on it. Uzumaki Compound. Now for the hard part. the teacher said as she summoned a dish. Put your hand in the dish, and it will find out what your element is. How is this the hard part? Naruto asked. Well, if you have one element, you will be fine, but if you have more than one, it will be more. She stopped herself trying to find the right word. Difficult, she continued. Nodding his head, Naruto put his hand in the dish. Steam started rising from it. The stream turned into flames and then black smoke. Oh, you have 3 elements, the teacher said. What elements? Tsunade asked. Wind, fire, and darkness, she replied. Fire magic means that you are pig-headed and stubborn. Wind magic means that you are a free spirit, and finally darkness magic means you are mischievous and sneaky. That defines the Uzumaki clan, Mito chuckled. Can I use other elements? Naruto asked. Yes, but they will be difficult, she answered. Water, earth, and light mainly, she added. After some more hours, Naruto's magic teacher turned into a small spirit fox and faded from their view. Naruto, try out some level 1 spells, Mana said as she got up. Naruto nodded his head and went to the training area and leapt at one of the training posts as a fist burst into flames as he called, Ferrum Ignis, Fire Punch, and leaves a large indent in the post. He jumped high and yelled, Impetum Kalo, Sky Attack. He was surrounded by an orange aura and shoot at the middle part before Naruto turned to the last post. He's doing good so far, Supri said as she watched Naruto ready the final spell that he has learned today. And he will only get better, Mana said as she watched his gather shadows around his hands to make an orb in his hands. It still surprises me that a level 1 darkness and shadow spell is one most powerful spells there is, she said. All the shadows and darkness contested in an orb within his hands. Naruto threw his hands out, launching the sphere as he yelled, Tenebris Ignis, Dark Void. That shot at the post and exploded. The smoke cleared, showing that there was a large chunk of the post missing, with Naruto standing on uneasy feet before fainting from lack of energy, with a woman in a main outfit with brown hair caught him before he could hit the floor. Thank you, Marion, Rias said as she walked over. No problem, Lady Rias, Marion said as she softly laid him down. And to think I get him a present, Tetrax said as he walked in, wiping oil off his hands. What is it? Sasha asked the Petrosapian. I got him a WOCAR Transformers War for Cybertron Air Raid Alt Mode. A 1-seater ship, Tetrax said. I also got a ship for Rin, Tsunade, Shizune, Jiraiya, and Rias, he added. What did you get us? Rin asked as her eyes turned to stars. Well, for you I got you Rin and Echo Zero, Destiny. Rias, you have a Star Exploder, Ratchet, and Clank. For the Sannin you have our 22 Spearhead Starfighter, Star Wars. Each, and finally Shizune, you got a GGS BGGF, Gogo Sentai Bukinger. What about the rest of us? T asked, putting the hands on her hips. Well, with the amount of money they got from the bounty hunters they killed and defeated, it was a small amount of money, so don't worry, you all will get own ships, Tetrax said, shooting down her argument. In Tower of Pain the next day. Obito was looking over the village when Pain walked up behind him. You called Obito? Pain said as Obito told him his real name. Yes. You can send Izumi and Konan to gather Orochi of the Sannin, he said as he looked at the orange-haired man. Why her? He asked. The main reason is that she is a Sannin. The other reason is to find out what Danzo truly is doing, Obito stated. What do you mean? Pain asked. Danzo has been playing Konoha, US, and Orochi, and I want to know why, he said. Pain stayed quiet at this but moved closer and whispered, What has he done? He has done something that only someone of Uzumaki, Senju, Uchiha, or Hyuga could do, he said before turning to Pain. He has merged blood of all the clans of the world and injected it to children in his root and possibly himself. This shocked Pain all 7 of his cores and asked, why would he do that? I would only hope to make his root stronger, but the other option is to take over the world by force and death, Obito said as he knew that Madara's plan was to bring death to the Jinchuriki or the Mugen Tsukuyomi, Infinite Tsukuyomi, but not to the world itself. What is your plan? Is this is true? Pain asked. We gather more forces until we have an army of S-rank ninja and then hunt Danzo and his root, Obito said plainly. And if is only his root? The man asked. Then we leave him be for now, and when his usefulness runs out, we take him out. Pain nodded his head and sent out Izumi and Konan. Land of Sound, Forest of Symphonies. Izumi and Konan was walking now as they talked to each other. So what do you know of Orochi of the Sannin? Konan asked the other woman. She gained the snake summons when she was a chunin and that she is also known as the Queen of Poison, Izumi answered as they saw her. Pale white skin with long black hair, she had snake-like eyes. She wore plain gray garbs with a black polo and pants underneath, a thick purple rope belt tied in a large knot behind her back, blue tomo-shaped earrings, and shinobi sandals with bandages around her calves. This is Orochi of the Sannin. Izumi, my dear, what can I do for you? She asked the Uchiha. We want to ask you some questions, Izumi said. And what is those questions? Orochi asked. First, is Danzo augmenting himself with all Kekii Genkai, Kekii Toda and Kekii Mora? She asked as she could see many ninja with a musical note on their headbands. Yes, he is, he stated with the Uchiha. And a good this you murderer, the real Orochi yelled in her head. And is he doing the same for his root? Conan asked. Yes, to that as well. He started with a Mokutan would release. He would have two if one of them did not join the Hokage. Orochi said like it mattered little to her. Good this they did so they can kill that son of a bitch, real Orochi yelled back. Both members looked at each other and asked the 10,000 Ryo question. Who did the surgery? Izumi asked. Why, it was me, of course, with some help of an ex-Danzo spy Kabuto, Orochi said with a smile. That fucker did this to us, and you smile, what the fuck is wrong with you? Orochi yelled at her outer self. They nodded to each other and looked at with Conan asking if she would join the Akatsuki. It sounds like fun/death, both Orochi say. Tower of Pain that night. Pain and Obito and listening to what Izumi had said and give Orochi with a ring with the symbol of Sora, sky, on it. There is something more, she said, getting the attention of both of them. Yes, Obito asked. She is not in control of her body and is like a puppet on a string, Izumi stated. How is this? Pain asked. The Kodo Amatsukami, she said plainly. Obito, knowing this jutsu, turned to his fellow Uchiha and asked, how? Well, Orochi has said that Danzo has the Sharingan, Izumi started. So it must have been a Mangekyo Sharingan, Obito finished, getting a nod from the female Uchiha. Thank you, Obito said as they sent Izumi away. So Pain said, getting a nod, so he walked away. Sensei, what would you do? Obito asked, hoping that either Madara or Minato would tell him. Nothing answered him, so he started singing. Hello darkness, my old friend, he sang. Soul System, Earthland of Fire, Konoha. Naruto, along with the cyan-haired teen, was walking now the streets gathering supplies for when they leave for Kiri, and with everyone trying to kiss his ass was slowly pissing him off. So Serenity, what do we need next? Naruto asked her. Well, we already have tents, food and sleeping bags, we just need pots and pans as well as plates, bowls and mugs along with utensils. Serenity replayed as they saw Trinity, or as she liked to be called, Trish, walking up to them. Hey guys, just wanted to let you know that we need food for the familiars, she said with her dragon resting in her arms. Do we get? Naruto asked as he looked at the baby dragon. Red Ice B, dragons and Blue Eyes W. Dragons eat meat but, Trish said as looked at the dragon. Red Ice mostly eat beef while Blue Eyes eat venison. Dame, that's a rich diet, Naruto said as he made a mental note to stop by the Akamichi and Nara meat sellers. Anything else? Naruto asked her. Yeah, we need meat for Betsy, Jirax Spinos, Trish said as an afterthought with all three of them shivering. We need to buy a farm, Naruto muttered as he thought of his grandmother's pet. More than a farm, Kurama said as he thought about the fire Spinosaurus. After a few more hours with all the stuff, they returned to the compound, and Naruto turned in to Eko to lead the breeding pair of cows that they bought for Betsy. As Naruto walked into the compound, he saw that Tsum Inuzuka was there. Oh pup, there you are, she said as she walked over the human-turned-alien. Is there anything that you need, Lady Inuzuka? Naruto asked as he merged back with the other one. Yes, there is, she said as Naruto tapped the tile and turned him back into human. This is about the marriage between you and my children Kiba and Hana as well as myself, she continued. What about us? He asked as he looked at her. As you know that you are the heir to the Uzumaki clan, he nods good. Now you see, if it was just Hana and Kiba, I would have to find a heir myself. But since I am also marrying you, the entirety of the Inuzuka clan will become a vassal of the Uzumaki clan. Tsum said, shocking Naruto and the others in the room as they looked at the conversation happening with Mito there to help if needed. I see. Is there anything I need to do? Naruto asked. Yes, you have to do 3 challenges, Tsum said. gaining raised eyebrows from everyone. What challenges? Rias asked. They challenge the mind, body, and soul, Sum answered. What is the first challenge? Naruto asked. The first is the challenge of the mind, and you must find your ninja animal partner, she said, looking at the alien shapeshifter. How long do I have? Naruto asked her. 3 weeks from when I start the no, she replied. And when does it start? Madara asked as she went over her memory of where the right ninja animal for her future husband would be. Tomorrow at noon, Sum said. Are we allowed to help Naruto? Hashirama asked. Yes and no, she said. Yes, with the finding a place and taking him there, no with getting the animal for him. Then I have the perfect place for him, Madara said. The Silver Mountain. The Mountain of Dark Wolves, Tobium asked. The very one, Madara replied. When you return you will then have the challenge of the body, Sum said as left. A few hours later, in Izuka clan compound. Sum stood in front of her clan with her daughters behind her looking over the clan. As every one of you knows, Naruto Namake's Uzumaki is going to marry my daughters, and Mithao's making the Ibuzuka clan a vassal of the Uzumaki clan. She gets nods from the crowd, so I have issued the challenge of the mind, body, and soul, she yelled. With this declaration, they all started to mutter, amused themselves until Tsum quieted them down. As you know, it starts at noon tomorrow, and so I have told the Hokage that the entire clan is not to get any missions for the duration of the challenges, she continued. The clan nodded their heads. So no, we howl to the wolves that watch over us, she added. The entire Inuyasuk clan and the ninja hounds howled. The howl carries all over Konoha and thou to the borders of the land of fire. When it reached the Silver Mountain, Piotr Dura, Mountain, M20 promo pack, frame, M15, the wolves there joined the howling. The next day, Land of Fire, Konoha, Gate of Konoha. Naruto stood at the gate with Madara, Tobium and Hashirama, and as soon as noon struck the four left to go to Silver Mountain. The trekking was hard with the dense forests, was the not easy expressly with Hashiram's sense of direction. After a few days they had reached a lake with a view as towering mountains with Madara saying, This is Silver Mountain. Why is called Silver Mountain? Naruto asked as they set up camp for the night. The water turns a silver color at night, Madara said as she looked at the lake in front of her. As night fell, the three women fell asleep with Naruto overlooking the lake as the full moon shone the lave turned silver. She wasn't kidding, Naruto said breathlessly as he watched the animals come out of the forests and drink of the water, with Naruto himself doing the same. As he fills a cup full of water, he heard the pad of feet and the unmistakable sound of hooves. He looked behind him and he saw two enormous wolves that was the size of horses, one with black while the other was white, with there also two pups but no animal with hooves. The wolves fat in front of him giving at him with the pups tilting their heads at him. What is it? Naruto asked the wolves. The black one lifted their head to show Naruto to turn around. When he did, all the breath in his body was taken. Standing on the lake was a deer, a bear and a hound. All of them was made of a bluish-silver light looking at him. They moved closer and started to nuzzle him. Naruto, the bear said, in a female voice that sounded familiar to him, he could not place it. Yes, Naruto asked. I give you theses. This time the deer spoke with the same voice, and it used its antlers to interact to the two pups. Shouldn't that be the parents chose? Naruto asked as he saw the older wolves nuzzle the pups and walk back into the forest. They were to be breed for you, the dog said as it and the other silver animals laid down. Why are me? Naruto asked as the two pups climbed into his lap. I needed something for the years I missed, the bear said as all three silver animals gazes has something that only a loving mother could have. What have you missed? Naruto still trying to remember why this voice was so familiar to him. He tried to get his brain working. But his Uzumaki side was not helping him. Wait, Uzumaki, Kushidashi Naruto was thinking, and then his face showed shock as he looked at the animals. Are you? He asked, shaking, reaching out hoping that it was true. I am, the dog said as the bear and dog merged with the deer. Deer started to shift into a humanoid shape with long hair that turned crimson, the same shade as the streaks in Naruto's hair. A long silver dress down to her bare feet. Her face was also the same shape as Naruto's but was on the pale side with violet eyes. Hello, Naru dash. She was saying before getting a tackle hog by Naruto, crying for the first time in ages. I always wanted to meet you, Databeo, he cried as she hugged him. You just said Databeo. There's no doubt that you're my child. The woman that was known and identified as Kushina Uzumaki said. Where have you been? Naruto asked her, hugging her tight with the fear that if he let go, she would disappear. I was never mortal, she said as she let go of him. My father punished me for something that I did a long time ago, and he put me in a mortal shell. So why are you still here? Naruto asked her. Even though I am a goddess, I will still love you, Naruto, she said as around his neck a necklace formed with a wolf's head with a crest moon in its mouth. And my real name is Artemis, goddess of the moon, hunt, the wild, childbirth and virginity, and I wish I could claim you as my child. No. Why can't you? Naruto asked. Even though you have alien DNA going thou you, the shock that the godly half of you awakening would damage you severely, she said. When will I be claimed then? Naruto asked his mother. When you are 12. A week and a half later, Land of Fire, Konoha. Sum Ianzuke was standing at the gates when she saw Naruto, Madara, Tobium and Hashirama walked up to her with 2 wolf pups walking at Naruto's feet. I see that you have passed the first challenge, she said. The next challenge is that of body. In a few hours you must fight me in compact. And the Hokage will decide the victor. Because your wolves are ready for a fight, you must fight alone, she continued. After 2 hours wait, Naruto stood opposite Sum in the ring getting ready to fight. Are you both ready? Hyuzen asked them. And once he got a nod from both of them, he yelled, Begin. Sum and her ninja hound got ready to attack while Naruto slammed down the Omnitrix down and a large flash of light. The Omnitrix was absorbed into him, his wrist as orange fur started to grow all over his body. He feet tuned in to 3 toes feet. At the same time, his hands turned to 4-fingered hands. Gills grew on the side of his neck while nails shoot out of his hands. With the shoulder pad with the Omnitrix dill on it, and he for the transformation was done, a light shone over his arm with the shoulder pad. When the light disappeared, it showed a crimson sleeve with a black flame design where the hand would come out, and with a roar of roar, wild mutt. His transformation was done. When the flash ad died down, Naruto jumped at her with his claws, but she and Kuramaru jumped away as said dog transformed him to her. Getsuga, Fong passing Fong. She and Kuramaru yelled as they turned into drilling cyclones heading for Vulpamancer, who seen this coming and started moving around her and Kuramaru, and as they went around for another hit, Naruto jumped over them and raised his claws and hid one of them, sending one of them into a tree. Everyone looked to see who he had hit to know that it was a log that he had sent flying, and before he could attack he hot by both sides by both of them sending him flying. He got up and growled at her. The growled back him. And something growled at everyone. Everyone turned to see a 3-headed beast. It had red armor, and it seemed to be made out of some kind of blue light. It had red eyes. It walk out of the forest, walk out growling at everyone. Roar, what is this now? Naruto asked Sum, and she said that this beast had interrupted a challenge, so it was nothing to do with her. The Uzumaki boy had passed the challenge of body, an Inuzuka clan elder said as he looked at the Vulpamancer and said, For you challenge of mind you must defeat this creature, he said as he bit a nod from the transformed human. Can we help? Tetrax asked as he looked at the beast. You may, but only 2 of you, Sum said as Tetrax and Rin run up to Naruto. So what we dealing with? Rin asked the Petrosapian as she pulled out her hand cannon. An animal from planet 90 called a photon Cerberus, Tetrax said as his arms shifted to blades. Naruto slapped the dill and turned into heat blast ready to melt this thing, and so all 3 of them attacked the beast with Rin shooting at it, but the bullets seemed to pass right through, and the same could be said for Tetrax's blades while Naruto flaming fist manages to punch it. So kinetic won't work, we need energy, Tetrax muttered as he pulled out his blaster and started shooting the 3-headed beast, and it was wounding it. So it fires a yellow laser back at him that he used his crystal arm to reflect into a tree, with Naruto shooting a stream of flames at the Cerberus as it started to back up with Rin called her light. This time she was void. And so a bow of purple energy formed in her hands and fired an arrow, and once it hit it explodes, sending the beast to the floor, and then Naruto walked up to it. Have you calmed down? Naruto asked it. The Cerberus nodded its heads and rubbed against Naruto, acting like a pet. Do you want to be my pet? Naruto asked it, and it nodded their heads once more. Naruto put his flaming hand on their middle head and rubbed it, and their tail wagged. Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki. Sum called to him as he turned around as the Omnitrix went. Beep, 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 Beep. And he was human once more. Yes, he asked as he could see all the Inuzuka clan call to their knees and say as one. May you live long and lead us well. Not long after that, there was a party being held in the Inuzuka compound with all the adults drinking themselves silly and the children playing around with the dogs. So Naruto, when do you leave for Kiri? Hiruzen asked as he was drinking tea. The end of next week, Naruto replied as he looked over everyone. Have you heard back from the rebels? He asked. Yes, and I decided to send more help, Hiruzen said. You are getting Might Guy, Kakashi Hatake, Kurenai Yuhi, Anko Mitarashi, Hana Inuzuka, Sum Inuzuka, Asuma Sarutobi, Mimi Sarutobi, Yugao Yuzuki, Tenzo Yamato, Hizashi Hyuga, Makoto Uchiha, Madara Uchiha, Hashirama Senju, Mito Uzumaki, and Tobium Senju. So that is along with me, Jiraiya, Shizune, Rin, Tsunade, Rias, Carla, Batet, Isis, Blanc, Mana, Kazara, Trish, Sasha, Subi, T, Wendy, Asa, Serenity, Tori, Lemon Magician Girl, and Anzu, Kiwi Magician Girl, Naruto said before he started chuckling. You know how to send help. Indeed I do, don't I? He laughed as he watched Jiraiya dance. He almost didn't hear Naruto say. Did you, my mother was a goddess? He asked the elderly man. Yes, Hiruzen said as he looked at his surrogate grandson. A week after her death, she came to me and told me about why she was here, and she would always tell me when you were about to be attacked or when you were homeless, he said with a voice of defeat. I don't blame you or her Gigi, Naruto said as he looked at his surrogate grandfather. She told me about the ancient rule of the universe that no god or goddess can raise their child. They both looked at the dance floor as both the Sannin was slow dancing, showing that their marriage did have love behind it and not for Naruto. I want to be like them with my future wives, Naruto said as he could feel the love coming off them. Yes, I still remember when he proposed, Hiruzen said as he started laughing. What is it? Naruto asked. Your father did the same thing, he said as he caught his breath. You see, as you know, your father and grandfather have and had the toad summoning contract. Well, they turn into a toad about the size you hand, that looked like them by the way. It would then jump to their hand so that they would kiss them to return them to human, and once they did they would be in wool samurai armor, pulled out the ring box and then asked them to marry them. Naruto to starting laughing at this and asked, did it work? For your grandfather no, for your father barely. Hiruzen, and he saw the confused look on his face and continued. You see, your mother saved by your father when they were about your age. Well, your father was your age and you was in a body was your age. So, and with your father being the creator of jutsu like he was Kushina or Artemis, freaked out for about an hour, and then found a note that read, a kiss of a beautiful queen may restore my form to normal. So she kissed his head and puffed smoke. Later he proposed, and once she found out that she was tricked she was ticked off. What did she do? The Uzumaki prince asked. Your father was sent to the hospital with 12 broken bones, he said with a small smile on his face. Was mom fighting him for some reason? Naruto asked the Hokage. No, remember when I gave you the talk? Hijuen asked. Shocked, Naruto nodded his head. Well, let's just say he enjoyed it. Sol system, Earth, border of lands of fire and water, Chimeran hammer. Vilgax looked around the drones that were working as he floated in his regeneration tank, thinking about the wilder of the Omnitrix with his anger rising just thinking that a human has the Omnitrix. Human. Drone, how long will it take to augment me with cybernetics? The warlord grumbled out. 2 hours, sir, a drone said as it looked at Vilgax. Jurr, he growled before turning before asking, when is the status of the ship? We will be done by the end of the day, another drone replied. Good. Land of Fire, Konoha, Training Ground 0. Naruto along with Tetrax, Tsunade, Rias, and everyone that stayed at the Uzumaki along with Tsum and her daughter's compound was standing in front of spaceships that was sat in front of them. So why have we been called here? Madara asked as she looked at the ships in front of her. Well, I thought that you lot could learn how to fly your ships, Tetrax said as he walked to one of the biggest ship out there. Also, I got everyone one else a ship as well to join the police, the Petrosapian continued. Once Naruto was in his ship, Tetrax came over showing him what everything does along with the others, and by the end of the day they were done, and once they had all got back to the Uzumaki compound. Yes, as soon as we stop the rebellion the space police will get underway, Mana said with her arms raised over her head with most the girls cheering. Yes, but we still need a symbol that the cops will need when they are doing their beat, Tsunade said. Then we are going to need to put the symbol on all the ships, Mito added, putting them all down. Hashirama, seeing that most of the women are looking down, said, "Why don't you all make a design for what would be our symbol, make it a competition?" "What does the winner get?" Rias asked, looking at the first Hokage. "The winner has Naruto buy a new set of clothes and accessories for them," Tobium said, looking at Naruto, who now had a look of betrayal on his face. "Now let's thin," Naruto started saying before all the girls agreed, and so he hung his head. "How long do we have?" Supi asked as her eyes started to shine as she had been eyeing a bag in the shopping center. "Until dinner is ready," Tsunade said as she, Tsum and Naruto went into the kitchen to start cooking. After they were done making dinner, they started carrying the food to the table, and when they saw everyone, they were trying not to laugh. The reason all the girls was covered from head to toe in paint of many colors with everything around them completely spotless. "What happened?" Naruto asked. "Well, you see," Rias said as she looked sheepish at him. "Trish and Kazara started arguing about who has the better dragon," Beast added as she started wiping the paint off her face. "Then Wendy said that sky dragons are betterer," Carla said as she left to wash the paint out of her fur. "They got in each other's face," Hannah said as he cleaned herself up. "Mana threw a paint all at the three," T added as she used some of her magic to clean herself. "And before we knew it, we were drawn into a paint fight," Madara said from her spot on the sofa. "I see," the three cooks said with a deadpan look. After they had all been cleaned up, they give their designs to Naruto to pick for the logo. "Right, so off the bat, Madara and Makoto, I am not using the Uchiha clan symbol," Naruto said to her. "May I ask why?" she asked. "The Uchiha clan symbol is already being used for the police." "Konoha police?" Naruto said as Madara clicked her tongue. "Rinyu symbol is out because of Itis the hunter symbol." Rin looked sad but nodded her head in understanding. "Ria, sorry, but I don't think a bat is a symbol that we need, but good try," Naruto told her as Rias puffed out her cheeks. "Carla, you and Wendy both drew the same thing for that. While I will not use it for the symbol for police, I will use it for the science division," Naruto continued as Wendy and Carla hugged each other. "Arrow, I will not use a toad as the symbol," Naruto said as he put his grandfather down. "Tobium, Hashirama, and Basen no to the Senu symbol," Naruto said, getting nods from them. "Isis and Ravel, you both drew a phoenix, so I will use them for badges for the flight corps," Naruto added as both of them nodded to each other. "Blanc, I'm sorry, but a rabbit is too gentle to say for the police," he said, getting a nod from the holy magic user. "Mana, T, Serenity, Tori, and Anzu, I will not use the symbol of your master without his permission," Naruto said, shaking his head as the sisters pouted cutely. "Sasha, sorry, but the blue mana symbol wound work, sorry," Naruto said as the ether magic user nodded her head. "And I think the winner should go to Shizune, Tsum, Hannah, Kiba, and Beast for a dog, wolf, or jackal's head as the symbol." He finished as he could see the 5 girls cheering about them getting to go shopping with someone as rich as Naruto. Chime ran hammer. Vilgax was back sitting in his throne as he looked over his new and improved body while flexing his arms and clashing his fists, and after he did that, sound of the engines roaring to life made his eyes smile evilly. "Good, set a course for his Konoha," Vilgax said as his warship broke the surface of the water. "It will be mine." Konoha a few hours later. Every civilian in Konoha was asleep as the Umbu was looking over the village, and they could see something getting closer to the village. "What is that?" asked an Umbu with a mouse mask. "Trouble," Nico said as she booked it to the Hokage tower. Nico luckily gets to the Hokage before he could go home to bed. "Lord Hokage, there is a spaceship head to Konoha, sir," Nico said, getting the attention of the Kage. Said Kage bus back into his office to see that it was indeed a pace ship, one that was sent by someone after the Omnitrix. Nico sent Naruto and his team out to destroy that ship and capture their leader, so that he can be tried for the crimes that he has done. Hiruzen yelled, getting a nod from the woman as she shined to the Uzumaki compound where she banged the door, and Tsunade answered. "What is it?" she asked the Umbu. "Your team is to send after the spaceship that is nearly here," she replied, waking up Tsunade, and so she called everyone into their ships and putting their headsets on they heard the voice of their Hokage. "All wings report in." And they did not know that everyone in Konoha could see and hear them getting ready to fight and defend their home. People started getting out of their homes, waving them off. Flame Leader standing by, Naruto called from his ship. Flame 2 standing by, Rin called as her ship took off. Flame 3 standing by, Ria said as she hovered in place. Flame 4-5 standing by, both Sannin said as there is joined their grandson's ship. All TVs within Konoha was showing the soon-to-be battle in the skies over the land of fire and beyond. Flame 6 standing by, Shizun said getting ready to attack. Flame 7 standing by, Madara and Hashirama said at the same time in their SSGS, BJ-1, Choudenshi Bioman Biojet 1, with Hashirama on the piloting and Madara on the guns. Flame 8 standing by, Makoto, Tobium and Mito said from their SSGS, BJ-2, Choudenshi Bioman Biojet 2, with Makoto and Mito on the guns and Tobium was piloting. Flame 9 standing by, Mana, T, Serenity, Tori and Anzu said from one of the biggest ships that had the megaship, Mega Ranger Megaship. Flame 10 standing by, Beast said from a gigantic triangular ship, Mega Ranger Delta Mega, as she readied all her weapons. Flame 11 standing by, Carla said from the cockpit of her ship, and her ship looked like a futuristic jet at TF Quickswitch, Transformers Quickswitch jet mode. Flame 12 standing by, Wendy called from her ship as it took off and hovered over the gates of Konoha. She was in a TF-ACM, Transformers Animated Cybertron Megatron alt mode, readying her pulse cannon. Umbu started to get the civilians to the bunker inside the mountain as the ninja get ready with their jutsu and for any ground troops that this villain may send. Flame 13 standing by, Kazara and Trinity called from their twin cockpits in their TF Slugslinger, Transformers G1, with their dragons flying on over their respective wing. Flame 14/15/16/17/18 standing by, Kiba, Ravel, Sum, Hana and Asa called from their 5 ships that got ready to attack. Their ships are from Gogo 5 Mars 1-5. Kiba 1 Ravel 2 Tsum 3 Hana 4 Asa 5. Asa that was crying because that her ship was white and pink, not brown or green. Flame 19 standing by, Blanc said as her green ship hovered in place over the school with the 2 powerful engines roaring. Gogo 5 green hover. 90% sir, Anambu said. Hiruzen has looked out a window as the air defense started to get up in the air as he kept hearing that the civilian number in the bunker kept rising. 92% sir. Flame 20 standing by, Isis said from a rocket ship that was plastered in solar panels. Gogo 5 Max Liner/Shuttle. 94% sir. Flame 21 standing by, Sasha called from her tank spaceship, Mega Ranger Tank Mega. She started aiming at the ship getting ready to fire. 96% sir. Flame 22 standing by, Supi called her small Euro joined the others in the air ready to take down Vilgax, booking her Gogo Euro. 98% sir, the Umbu said once more as Hiruzen was stood in front of a holographic table that came to life showing all of Konoha with the, as he liked to call them, Flame Squadron. Flame Crystal standing by, Tetrax called as his ship the Resolute took off as well getting ready to attack. Sir, we are at 100%, all civilians are in the bunker, I repeat all civilians are in the bunker, the Umbu said to the Hokage as he raised his head and gave that order. Attack! And so they did. All of the Flame Squadron flew in to attack the Chimeran Hammer. Chimeran Hammer. Vilgax seeing all the ships defending Konoha, he mainly did it to the WRAR that flew past the window because he saw the could sense that the Omnitrix wielder piloted it. Send out the bombers and the drones to wipe out their land forces, he ordered as there was hit once more by the megaship. Yes, Lord Vilgax, a drone said as it starts pressing buttons. Skies above Konoha. We don't seem to be doing much, Tsunade said as she did a flyby and shot one of the turrets. His made weapon is down the middle of his ship, Tetrax said over the comms as he shot out some more turrets. We got bogeys, Naruto called as a large squadron of 50 ships were released from the hangar of the Chimeran Hammer and drones started to engage the ground forces. This if Flame Base Flames 14 to 22 handle the flyers, the rest of you handle the Chimeran Hammer. Hiruzen called out his orders as they all sent an affirmative to Flame Base. Sasha with 5 on her tail uses calls upon her magic and summons a cloud for her to fly thou. As the ship follows her thou the cloud she turns and shoots them out of the sky and launches a missile at one getting ready to do a bombing run. Flame Base, I have an idea, Tetrax called to the Hokage. Yes, what is it, Flame Crystal? Hiruzen asked him as he heard Shikaka Nara giving out orders for the men as another 5 enemy ships were shot down by Flame 21. While Vilgax is distracted, I could send a signal to Thaus that could help us, Tetrax replied as he shot down another turret. Hiruzen thought about this as the elders looked at him and they nodded their heads. We need all the help we can get at this moment in time, Hamura said as he looked at the battle. How long will it take to call them? Hiruzen asked the Petrosapian. Once I'm out of Earth gravitational pull, I will send the message, and if there they have the courage, they will turn up in about an hour, Tetrax said to him as he flew out on the way of some lasers. Do it, Hiruzen ordered as he bit his finger, summoning a messenger monkey. Hiruzen, why have I been summoned? The monkey asked in a female voice. I need you to go to the Land of Iron and ask the leader if he could be a judge for a trial tomorrow, the Kage said as he looked out the window. Got it, she said, and off she went. Tetrax, having got his orders, started to fly out of the range of the Chimeran hammer to get to send the message. Chimeran hammer. The main weapon fully charged, sir, a drone said to the warlord. Good target, the traitor, Vilgax said as he could see Tetrax's ship going to transmitter high. Outside Chimeran hammer. The Chimeran hammer started to turn towards the Resolute, and it began to gather power. Tetrax move, Tsunade yelled thou the comms to the Petrosapian. The power then into an orb. Fuck, Tetrax said as the beam was fired. As the beam got closer, a voice that nobody could determine with the voice traffic said, Bara, Toj, Inajiku, Santen Keshin, 3 Sacred Links shield. I reject. A large triangle barrier formed, stopping the beam from hitting its target. Mito, was that your Santen Keshin? Hashirama asked as she shot down another turret. It was mine, Naruto said as we flew past them doing his bombing run on the ship and yelled, Tsubaki Koten Zanshuin, Lone Heaven Cut Shield. I reject. As Tsubaki turned into an arrowhead and shot thou the main gun. As the beam was charging, Naruto could feel that he needed to do something, and he felt something awaken within him. From deep within his soul, 2 constructs were made that dangled from his ears. He had awakened his Shun Shun Rika, 6 princess shielding flowers. He heard Toj say, Me, Bara, and Hingiku with the command Santen Keshin, we can make a shield that can reject any attack. He next heard Lily say, Tsuda and me can heal any wound with the command Soten Kiss Hun, Twin God Reflection Shield. He then heard Tsubaki saying, I reject both sides of anything with the command of Koten Zanshuin. And once given the command, you must say I reject. All the fairies say. Naruto, seeing the beam fire, called Bara, Toj, Inajiku, Santen Keshin, I reject. Chimeran hammer. Sir, main weapon offline, a drone said, and not long after it said that it had its head crushed by the angry warlord. Sir, all bombers have been taken out. Sir, all the drones on the ground have been destroyed. And all around him B could hear more and more bad news, so he yelled, Take us to low orbit and let's take this battle to space. Skies above Konoha. Flame Squadron, seeing Vilgax start to leave, get the order to go after him. They hear over their radios and all radios all over the universe. In space. People of the universe, I Tetrax Shard AM helping the Omnitrix wielder take down Vilgax. We need all able bodies 2 aids US in taking IM down and finally dethroning him. This child of OlenY, 10 years of age, is battling him at this moment. I know you're frightened that he may win, but we have Tio Baline in one another that we all can make a difference. Joins US in taking down this tyrant from ruling the universe and destroying all that we love. Tetrax said as the signal was sent to all corners of the universe. As he turned his ship around, he could see the Chimeran hammer coming after him with the rest of Flame Squadron coming to his aid. Flame 10U and Flame 9 are going to attack from both sides, destroy its hangar so that we can board it. Flames 4, 5, 7 and 10 defend them so that we can finally put this guy behind bars. Naruto called to them as he continued, Everyone else, we are going to take out more of his weapons and engines so that we can make a run for him. As they were going about the plan, they heard a voice over the comms, a dark voice, an evil voice. The voice of Vilgax. So you want a piece of me then? Ha, I will rip the Omnitrix from your cold dead body, you worm. We will stop you, everyone said as they started shooting at him, and he asked one question that was the downfall of many. You and what army? He sneered before. Boom. 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 Thousands of ships all exited hyperspace. Numbers kept growing and growing. Chimeran Hammer. Vilgax, seeing all the ships from all the planets that he conquered and will conquer all, are standing against him with a force that could take him out. He felt fear. He felt excitement. He then heard the voice of the wielder of the Omnitrix say, "This army. So stand down now and face justice, or you will have all your weapons destroyed, and we will board your ship and take you in by force. You choose. Outer space above Earth. I will have war, so come at me," Vilgax cried as everyone flew in, started taking out more of the turrets. At the same time, the more prominent ships began to shoot at long distance, with Naruto leading a small squadron of flyers at the hangar doors to take them out. Bombers started their run, leaving, taking out more and more of the ship. The hangar doors opened. All of Vilgax's army joined the fight, and it was apparent that Vilgax was losing but was taking people down with him. Naruto group made it into the hangar where drones were waiting for them, so Naruto, hearing the voice of his doll Wolfscreeger, called out. "Zajdike Wolfscreeger," Naruto called as he ripped his necklace off and threw it as it turned into his doll, then started to tear thou all the drones. "Shall we?" a man with a beard asked as he activated a laser sword similar to one that Naruto had seen in a dream. The small team fought through the corridors of the Chimeran Hammer until they saw the warlord himself. "Some ants have been caught in my web, allow we to crush you," Vilgax said as he arose from his throne to deal with his intruders. Naruto, activating the Omnitrix, turned to Humunguser, said, "Quote, a brother of mine, it's hero time." And he slammed down the dill, and a flash later Humunguser jumped at the warlord. Naruto, as Humunguser jumped at Vilgax with his fist reared back ready to push the warlord, as said warlord grasped his fist and punched Naruto away. As Naruto neared, the man with the laser sword dived under Naruto and started to attack. "A Jedi can't hurt me," Vilgax said as he stopped the sword with his arm as it seemed to be pushed back. "How can you stop a lightsaber?" the man asked as he jumped away. "The nanites within my body. They heal me so fast that your little sword can only burn the first layer of skin," Vilgax was saying before he got a fist to the face cutesy of Naruto, growing at Humunguser and just laying into him. "Shut up," Naruto said as grabbed Vilgax's leg and threw him into a wall. The Jedi, seeing this, made a pushing motion, and Vilgax was thrown down the wall by something, and as he started getting up, a bipedal tiger get up and kicked him in the face. Vilgax grasped the bipedal tiger by their left leg and threw it at the control panel as he tore his way out of the room that he was in, ducked under a punch being sent at him by Naruto, and Spartan kicked the Jedi into another control panel. "Is this the best?" "Aw," Vilgax was saying before he felt that he was cut into his back. The warlord turned around to see a humanoid dog-like alien with a katana in its hands. Before he could attack, he got a double punch from Naruto and the tiger. As Vilgax lost his balance, he was shot forward by a mysterious force, and he was then punched in the spine by a monkey-like alien with flames for hair that sent him flying down the floor. "So we have two humans, an Infernape, an Apoplexian, and a Syrian, all think that they could take me down," Vilgax said as he climbed out of the floor and glared at everyone in the room before he grasped the Infernape by the tail and threw it at the Syrian, ran at Naruto and drove his elbow into Naruto's face. As Naruto reeling back, Vilgax grasped Naruto's tail and lobbed him at the Jedi and Apoplexian. The Syrian ducked under the Infernape flying at him and raised his blade and sliced at Vilgax's arm. As he went to punch the dog-like alien, a rotating ball of fire hit him in the face. Once the fire had died down, he got kicked in the face by the Infernape. The Apoplexian used its claw to slash at Vilgax's eyes, while Naruto punched him in the stomach, knocking the wind out of Vilgax, as the Jedi cut a tentacle off Vilgax's face. Vilgax, seeing one of his tentacles was cut off, grabbed the Jedi by the head, threw him at the window, and gut-punched the Apoplexian. He gripped the incoming fists of the Infernape and Naruto. The Syrian, seeing this, started to cut at the arms, forcing Vilgax to let go, and as he did, Naruto Spartan kicked Vilgax. The Infernape jumped forward with his fist on fire and got Vilgax in the cheek, with the Apoplexian doing a full Nelson slam on Vilgax. Outer space. All of Vilgax's forces were getting destroyed as all the ships of the universe was taking him from his throne and bring him to him down so that he can be tried for all that he has done. A squadron of B-Wings flew in and blew up 50 of Vilgax's ships as a load of X and Y-Wings started taking out more of the forces. Flame Squadron was the ones called the shots in taking out the surge that was Vilgax. Jiraiya started leading the bombers on a bombing run to take out more of the Chimeran Hammer's weapons. Tsunade was yelling her orders to the X-Wings as they went in for another strike. Rin was flying with the N-1 fighters in taking out a large squadron of drones. The Magician Sisters were keeping the main guns on them along with the larger ships as they were taking potshots to the Chimeran Hammer. Beast, being one of the fastest ships, started shooting more holes in the Chimeran hammer. Kiba and her squad were aiding some of the larger vessels. Isis along with Blanc aimed for the engines of Chimeran hammer and was helped by some Mandalorian ships. Hashirama and Tobarama both flew in as their gunners started taking out some of the communication antennae of the Chimeran hammer. Shizen joined the B-Wings as they did another sweep of the battle, taking out more of the drones. Rias used her magic to grab a drone and threw it at another before shooting some more down. Carla flew over the Chimeran hammer and seeing that Naruto was fighting Vilgax, shot at the command center hoping that it would cock Vilgax off. Wendy used her pulse cannon to take out a large part of the warship. Tetrax along with the Dragon Twins, Trinity and Kazara, doing strafing runs aiming to take out more of the engines. Sasha was below the Chimeran hammer, hitting the hull of the warship, making a large hole. The Chimeran hammer, after taking this much damage, started to lose power to the weapons and engines and began to be taken into Earth's gravity pull, but the army of the universe was hot on its trail. Chimeran hammer. As the fighting continued to battle swung from Vilgax to the team of 5, but they were where all shaken dropped to the floor as they felt the ship being dragged into the earth. The bad news didn't stop there as the Omnitrix timed out, turning Naruto human. As he was human once more, he called back Wolfskiger as the necklace formed around his neck as he jumped out of the way of a fist that is sent his way by Vilgax. "You're out of time," Vilgax joked as he grabbed Naruto. Still, a black katana formed in his hands and cut the metal hand of Vilgax. The Jedi and Syrian joined in of the cutting of Vilgax as the Infernp and Apoplexian both punched him as Vilgax was sent flying now the wall once more. All 5 of them jumped after him to see him running to the hangar, and they made chase, cutting down any drone that tried to stop them. As they made it to the hangar, Naruto seeing Vilgax, he flew thou 3 hand signs. Dog, monkey, bird, futon. Rankuden, wind release, drilling air bullet. Naruto yelled as he spat out a drilling orb of air at Vilgax. As the orb him, the infernape fists burst into flames and just started going ham on the warlord. But Vilgax gripped the fire monkey and threw him out the hangar. Then there were 4. Vilgax sneered as he ran at them, and they ran at him 3 with blades ready. The Apoplexian jumped and double-kicked Vilgax in the face as Vilgax was ready to throw another out the hangar when we heard Naruto say, "Shinra Tensei, heavenly subjugation of the omnipresent god." Naruto yelled as an invisible force shot out of Naruto's hand. It hit Vilgax and sent him flying into some crates. As Vilgax started to get out of the crates, he heard Naruto once more, "Bansho Tenin, heavenly attraction of all creation." Vilgax was ripped from where he was standing and started flying at high speed at Naruto with his blade outwards. The thing that shocked Vilgax the most was that the eyes of the Omnitrix holder were purple. 1. Purple eyes with concentric circles covering the eyes. 2. Eyes that drilled into him. 3. As he was pulled, he tried to grab something to stop himself, but he not stop. 4. He is just a punch away from the small human. 5. Vilgax looked as the blade stabbed through the armor on his chest. He seen the person that wields what he wants as he tried to grab it. The boy punched his, and it felt like a starship had broken the more of his armor and said the last words for a while, "Shinra Tensei." And that is when Vilgax knew that he fucked up. Vilgax was shot back to where he once was, but was flying twice as fast as before and was embedded in the wall, knocked out. Just as then, the Chimeran hammer started to slow down Naruto, and the other 3 looked out the hangar door to see the Infernape riding on a ship with his thumb up. Land of Iron, 2 days later. The Land of Iron's courtroom was full to the brim with humans and aliens of many races sitting patiently waiting for the one that is going to be put on trial. Mifune of the Land of Iron sat overlooking everything and everyone in front of him, shocked at the number of beings there are. "That child said that he wants to bring peace, and it looks like he might do it," Mifune thought as he looked at everyone present. To his right was a woman that looked in her early teens with a pile of papers as tall as she was right next to her. To his left was Hyuzen Sarutobi with another pile of papers. They both nodded his head, and so he yelled, "Bring in the accused." For aliens like Humongouser holding chains connected to the prisoner known as Vilgax the Conqueror. They forced him into the witness box as they locked his chains in place, with people in monk robes pulled out cylinder-like objects. "Vilgax, the Conqueror, you stand accused thousands of cases of murder, rape, theft, tyranny, and many more cases," Mifune said as he could see that everyone in the courtroom was glaring at Vilgax. "How do you plead?" he asked. "Not guilty," he said, causing a massive commotion. "I mean, I was fighting to get something that was mine back." "Liar. Fool. Fibber." and more yells that he was lying from every language and every person. Quiet! Mifune called, getting everyone quiet. To the woman to his right, turned to the prisoner and said, "The Omnitrix belongs to Asmith of the Galvan, and he has transmitted that Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki is the wilder of his Omnitrix." She told the squid and then sat back down, seeing the wide-eyed 10-year-old. This angered Vilgax. A boy. An infant. They are wielding the most powerful weapon. He scoffed. "Okay, let's start with," Mifune said as he started reading each and every case that Vilgax had done. By the time he was done, Vilgax had so many life sentences that it was an Uzumaki-like span. 10,000 years. "Your Honor, I have some bad news," Tsunade said as they were about to sentence him to death. "Yes, Lady Tsunade?" Mifune asked as he looked at the female Sannin. "You will not be able to kill Vilgax because of the nanites with his body," Tsunade said as she saw the anger of all thous in the room and continued for them to understand. "When trying Angie to get a tissue sample, as soon as the scalpel would penetrate the skin it would heal instantly," she continued. "And if you use a laser sword?" Hiruzen asked. But when he saw his student shaking her head, it shocked the entire courtroom. "And there is no prison that can hold me for long," Vilgax said, laughing, getting glares from the room. "Is there any place we can put him?" the woman asked as they all thought, looking around. "We of Asgard have a holding cell ready, and it will make do until the time his true cell is done." A man in golden armor. This man had an eye patch over his left eye. He had a thick white beard with long white hair, a helmet with curved horns and with either side of it, and a long tall spear in his hand and a raven perched on his shoulder. "Thank you, Lord Odin," the woman said, getting a nod from everyone in the room as they agreed with the Asgardian. Seeing that the room was in agreement, he brought the gavel down and called out, "Odin of Asgard, you may take the prisoner with you until we all can either remove the nanites or build a prison that is strong enough to hold him, but the Vaxasaurian but be there to take him down." Odin nodded his head. The chains were unhitched. The Vaxasaurian dragged Vilgax out of the room behind the leader of the Asgardians. As everyone was leaving to return to their home, the planet went up to Naruto and thanked him for saving them from the tyranny that Vilgax brought to their homes. Many of them would like to join the police that Naruto was creating, as they were part of their own police force and tried to make an intergalactic one, but Vilgax had taken it apart. As all the different races went home, some walked up to Naruto. "Do you think we could do a trade deal with this world?" one of the group asked. "Right now the world is not united, but I believe that the lands of fire and iron would gladly take and to trade with you lot," Naruto said as both Hiruzen and Mifune was shocked as someone this young setting up a trade deal for their planet. "I see," a feline humanoid said as the traders looked at each other, and they nodded their heads and turned back to Naruto. "We will agree," a humanoid with rainbow hair curled up into an egg shape said. "Then you will have to speak to the ones in charge of the two lands, the Deo, which I think that thous two men can handle," Naruto said as he pointed to Mifune and Hiruzen, and so the traders walked over to them. As the traders moved to Mifune and Hiruzen, the monks moved to Naruto and bowed to him, and he bowed back to them, and a small green alien stepped forward. "Yoda, I am the Grandmaster of the Jedi," he said as he indicated for Naruto, so sit down with them. As they sat down, Naruto asked, "Can I help with anything?" "Able to tape into the Force? Yes, you seem to be," Yoda said as he looked at the boy. "We can train you in the Force if you want," Yoda continued. "The Force?" Naruto asked, looking at the Jedi. "It's an energy field created by all living things," the Jedi that helped him take Vilgax down said. "How will I know that I have the Force?" Naruto asked as he looked over the Jedi in front of him. "Close your eyes," a female said as she pulled something out of her robes, looking at Naruto. "What do you see?" Seeing that he was about to open his mouth, she continued, "Not with your eyes." Naruto closed his eyes and focused on the thing, the woman's hands, as a picture formed in his mind. A ship. A kunai. A shield. And Naruto kept calling them until the woman said that the test was done. "What just happened?" Naruto asked them. "You, what was on the screen the Force showed," Yoda said as he looked at the boy. "Will I have to go with you to train to be a Jedi?" Naruto asked as he looked at the Jedi around him. "No, but 2 Jedi must be here to train you," the woman said as she looked at Naruto with the 2 wolf pups sat at his feet. "Who will the 2 be?" Naruto asked as he looked over the Jedi around him. "I will be one of them, and my name is Obi-Wan Kenobi," the now introduced Obi-Wan said. "And we then pick a master for you to train under," Yoda said as he looked at the boy as Naruto seemed to have a conversation with the beings in his head. What do you guys think? Naruto asked them. I say do it, it may help you with using my blade, his Zanpakuto said, getting a nod from everyone, so Naruto looked at the Jedi and said, I will do the training, but can I stick to my clothes? Naruto said them, getting a look from the woman. That is fine, but why? She asked, looking at the orange jumpsuit and crimson Haori. The orange jumpsuit was the last thing my parents had bought for me before they died the day of my birth, and the Haori, it's a family thing, Naruto said as he pointed to his grandmother. I see, she said as she went and talked to the others about who would train Naruto, and after about an hour they came back. Trained by Master Shakti you will be, Yoda said as the woman that was talking to him. Shakti turned to Naruto said, I will train you like I train many younglings, harsh but fear. As she said that, Tsunade nodded her head as so they all started making their way to Konoha, with Shakti being informed that Naruto is getting training in the form of ninja from Mito, magic from Miko along with other things. As they reached the village, two Umbu jumped down to greet them, and Hiruzen asked them the Thousand Ryu. What did Danzo do while I was away dealing with Vilgax? We did as asked and trailed him to try and find his hideout, but he seemed to be able to lose us, an Umbu with a toad mask said with a voice of failure. You did the best you could do, Hiruzen said, sighing. What is the status of Root? Good news, we have been taking them to both the Noichi and Ibiki to try and get the information from them, the other said. That is good news, Hiruzen said as Flame Squadron cheered. Who is this Danzo and Root? Obi-Wan asked. Well, Root is a rough ninja program that the elder Danzo made to take over Konoha from within, Tetrax said, walking to the Uzumaki compound, making sure to look for any that may be in hiding. And Danzo is, as Tetrax said, an elder of Konoha, and is trying to become Hokage and try to take over Konoha and then the rest of the world. But he is as snaky as a mouse that can disable all the traps we lay and do something worse, Tobium said as she sighed, thinking that she failed as a sensei. He has even experimented to make an artificial being, but since the only proof is a brain-controlled puppet, we can't do anything, Madara added. No, the Jedi was thinking on how to help them. Asmith, is that you? Sol System, Planet Earth, Land of Fire, Konoha, Uzumaki Compound. After a long day of training, Naruto laid down in bed as he was taught by the three people that were training him. Mito was training him in using his Rinnegan, with him learning to use one of the elements that he had. Shakti had trained him with the training sabers and with force as a second layer of his mind. His magic teacher Miko had him calling forth his devil and his newly discovered godly strength. As he went to sleep without noticing the dial on the Omnitrix spinning, and a hologram showed a small frog-like alien that looked like an older gray matter. Naruto's mindscape. Naruto, as he dreamed of his countless forms standing around him, he was once more thrust into his mindscape. Do any of you make heads or tails of my I'm still getting that dream? Naruto asked his tenants. I don't know, the traveler said as she looked over the dream in the river by Kurama's cage. It shows you the future, that all I know. So everything in the dream, is it the future? Naruto asked as he walked up to the lake along with the others. Hey, look at the one with the Rinnegan eyes, Diablo said as he pointed at the Naruto that eyes turned red with the 9-tome in it. This time, instead of started at the Rinnegan, it just went straight to that. What is that eye called? The Zanpakuto asked the tailed beast that watched the memory as well. I think that it is the first Jujutsu, but I could be wrong, Kurama said as he racked his brain for the name of the eye's name. One of the Arc Titans are no longer there, Tsubaki said as he looked over the dream. The code of the missile, to be precise, the embodiment of light said as she looked over the dream. Wolfskiger and the fairies are also no longer there. So what you all watching? A voice said behind them. As they all turned to look, they could see a small alien of the same race as Grey Matter standing there. Who are you? Diablo said as he looked at the small alien. And why are you here? Kushina asked as she floated over to the alien. I am the one that built the thing on your wrist, he said as it to Naruto, getting a wide-eyed look from the decisions of Naruto's soul. So you're Asmith? Naruto asked him. Yes, I am, he said as he walked past them to the lake to watch the dream. So you can somehow gaze into the future, Asmith continued as he watched his dream played over and over. I have already established that, the traveler said as she looked at the small alien. But do you know why? Asmith asked as he looked at the embodiment of light. No, before you two argue, let's think about this, the Zanpakuto said as he looked at the two. Fine, they both said. Again, why are you here? Naruto asked as he looked at Azimuth, who looked back and said, Even though I said that you are the wielder of the Omnitrix, I still wanted to meet you, Azimuth said as he sat down, and ask some questions. Ask away, Naruto said as he and the others sat down. Well, to start with, what is your dream? Azimuth asked. I want to be the Hokage and chief of the police that will bring peace to the universe, Naruto said as he could see that the Galvan was thinking on this. Why do you want to be Hokage? Azimuth asked, looked at the boy. In another, like I would say that it was to be acknowledged by Konoha, Naruto said, seemingly looking off into the distance. No, it's to keep my planet safe from criminals like Vilgax and save the king. The king? Azimuth asked. The next generation and the generation after that and so on, Kurama said as he looked at his Jinchuriki with pride. I see, and the chief of the police? Azimuth asked. Currently the universe is full to the brim with criminals, and every time someone tries to do something about it they are killed and paraded around, say that this is what happens to thou who try, and I want to put an end to that. Naruto said as he got a fire in his eyes. I want a place where children would have to hide in fear, a place where mothers and fathers don't have to see their child die before them, a place that is peace. Azimuth looked at the child in front of him in wonder as the boy spoke his mind and did not have a fear of saying it. What is your first step? Azimuth asked. Put an end to the rebellion in Kiri and stop the bloodline wars, Naruto said. On whose side? Azimuth asked. The rebel side, Naruto said plainly and to the point. Why them? They have been hunted for being born with something that some themselves didn't want and are being killed for being different, Naruto answered. And so questions and answers kept flying back and forth, and with each answer Azimuth as more and more impressed with the boy that held his Omnitrix. You have impressed me, Azimuth admitted as he looked deep into Naruto's eyes. And for stopping Vilgax, I have sent you a present. What is it? Sakura asked as she floated over and sat on Naruto's shoulder. Something that will come in handy soon, Azimuth said as he started to fade out of the mindscape and said one last thing. Good luck. Good luck with what? Tsubaki asked the others, but they just shrugged their shoulders. The Zanpakuto stood looking at his user, thinking about something, and then nodded his head. Naruto, now that you have been able to call on my sealed form for a while, now it's time to say my name, he said, getting the attention of the others in the soul. Okay, Naruto replied, nodding his head. The spirit of the stood in front of the 10-year-old as he watched Naruto summon his sealed form. Naruto started to Ama's chakra in the blade. The black and crimson energy started to form around him. Konoha Uzumaki compound. The sleeping form of Naruto was in a cocoon of the black and crimson flame-like energy forming around him. His sealed Zanpakuto next to him, glowing like the one in his mind. Mito feeling the power rushing into the room to see the prince awaken his Zanpakuto. Naruto's mindscape and Uzumaki compound. Look ahead, go forward, never stop. If you retreat, you'll only grow older. If you hesitate, you will only die. The spirit yelled as the flame-like energy formed a black shahakusho over Naruto with an orange shiitake, tabi and sash. Now call my name. Pierce heaven Zangetsu. They both yelled as the blade changes, the blade a silver hilt with gray wrappings, and a short length of chain at its base. The blade itself becomes slightly reshaped, curving inwards at the backside of the tip, similar to a trench knife. Uzumaki clan vault. The red gauntlet that sat in the vault started to glow with red and green energy, forming a body out of the green and red energy. The move to the vault door and seemed to move through it and walk down the hall to Naruto's room. The gauntlet flaunted down and started to fade away until it was only the green jewel that began to be absorbed into his hand. Naruto's mindscape. Naruto now with Zangetsu's Shurikai, he rests it on his shoulder, giving off power. Out of nowhere they all heard two different roars. As they moved to find out what the roars were, they could see a massive red dragon with green eyes staring down a reptilian-like human. Its head seems to produce spiky edges. There are cracks on its chest, and his coat is a pair of curled-up semi-chiropteran wings with each divided into 3 segments. Dante Devil Trigger DMC4. Both of the beings got ready to attack each other. As they reared back to attack each other, Naruto jumped in the middle of the two and stopped the fighting. Who are you two? Naruto raising Zangetsu ready for a fight. There is zero need for you and me to fight, the reptilian-like human said to Naruto in a gravely deep voice. Why is that? Naruto asked as he looked at the reptile human. I am your devil half, he said, walking up to Naruto and putting a hand on his shoulder glaring at the red dragon. But you can call me Devil Naruto or DN for short. Naruto nodded his head and turned to the dragon, and it looked back at him. I am Drake, I am the red dragon, the Welsh dragon, why Drake Gotch, Red Dragon Emperor and Red Dragon Emperor of Domination. Drake said, seeing that it drew blanks from the beings that reside within Naruto, glaring back at DN. Great, and my previous host was a perv and knew someone doesn't know even down what I am. Well, instant this just great. So what are you, Drake? Naruto asked the red dragon. I am what is known as a sacred gear, the boosted gear to be precise, the dragon said to the ninja in training. What can you do? Naruto asked as he returned Zangetsu to his sealed form. I can boost your power past its limit and then some. You will eventually call on the scale mail of my armor and some other things, Drake said as he sat down to rest. What about you, DN? Naruto asked his devil half. When you kill devils, you can turn their souls into weapons for you to use. You have something called a trigger that will let you use some of my power, not much but some, DN said as he sat down as well. As they sat in silence, Naruto looked at Drake and DN, and he knew they were both in his dream of the future. Naruto knew something was coming that would test him once more. As Naruto thought, he felt a presence within his mindscape as a full moon shone as Artemis walked up to him, seeing the dragon and devil put her hands on her hips in the way only a mother can do, and asked, Why do you have Drake, the Red Dragon Emperor, and a devil within you? Well, for the devil, remember when Sparta wanted an heir? She nods. Well, this is my devil self, Naruto said to his mother. I see, she said as she eyed the devil form of her son that was in front of her. And Drake? I have no idea why he is here, Naruto said as he shrugged his shoulders as he looked at the dragon, hoping that he would explain to his mother why he was there. I have chosen Naruto to be my next host and holder of the boosted gear and gain the title of Red Dragon Emperor, Drake said to the moon goddess. Yay, another title for me like the others is not enough, Naruto said as the others laughed, but Drake looked confused. What other titles? The dragon asked. Prince of the Whirlpools, Naruto said. Prince of Hell, Dian added. Jinjuriki of Kurama, Zangetsu said as he leaned against the tree. Jinjuriki of the Traveler, Wolfscreeger added from where he was laying down. Defeater of Vilgax, Diablo added from where he was. Wilder of the Omnitrix, Burra said as he flew on to Naruto's shoulder. Prankster from Hell, Toj said as he sat on a branch on the Sakura tree. Head of the Inuzina, Inazuka Uzumaki Namikaze, Hinajuku said as he laid in the river. Prince of Konoha, Lily said as she sat on Naruto's other shoulder. Heir to the Sannin, Suda added from his spot by the lake, still watching the dream over and over to try and find anything that is new within it. Padawan Uzumaki, Tsubaki said as he laid at the base of the Sakura tree. Heir to the Sage of Six Paths, Kurama said from his cage. The Bringer of Peace, the Traveler said. Guardian of Konoha, Kushina said as she hovered by Naruto. Demigod of Artemis, Artemis said as she smiled at her son. Drake was shocked with the number of titles that his new host has got, and he would be lying to say that it did not impress him. And he could tell that the boy would gain more and more titles from this day on, and he was pleased with he chose, and he looked at her new housed and thought, You will be the strongest in the universe and none other will stand in your way. For the rest of the night, Naruto and his mother trained in the ways of the Uzumaki clan and trained him with his Zanpakuto and some of their original jutsu. He learnt new jutsu from his that is called Kido. From the Traveler, she was teaching Naruto on how to use some of him warlock abilities. Zangetsu was teaching Naruto his signature move, the Getsuga Tensho, as well as the ways of the Quincy. Diablo was teaching Naruto on how to use his hollow powers and to tap into them, and he was nearly there. He needed to call on his mask so that he could begin his training for that. Wolfscreeger was teaching Naruto on how to change his element from fire to another one. The next day, Uzumaki compound. Naruto woke up from his sleep, and he finally noticed that he is in new clothes. Naruto put on his Haori with Zangetsu's sealed form as summoned on his back, his Shun Rika dangling from his ears. Around his neck is Wolfscreeger sealed form, and from a silver light, a silver cross formed around his wrist. Naruto walked out of his room, and as he passed each room, each of the people walked out. Naruto, along with the others from the compound, walked out to the main gate of Konoha, where Hyuzen was waiting for them with the others that are going to aid the rebels of Kiri. Each person that they passed looked at each person with Naruto as a heroes that needed to be praised, and once they reached the gates of Konoha, Hyuzen was talking to the others in the group that was going to aid them. Now once you get there, you will not only help Naruto with being his first officers of the Earth branch of the soon-to-be-named police, as well as gain allies in Kiri once the rebellion is over, Hiruzen said to his ninja. Where will we be going once that is done, Lord Hokage? Kakashi Hatake asked. You will then head to Suna, where we can try for their Jinchuriki to be mentally healed, and then the relationship between Konoha and Suna would be strengthened, Hiruzen answered the copy nin. Then you will head to Kumoto, will try to get them to be loyal allies with us, then you will head to Iwa and Taki. Why to Taki, Lord Hokage? Guy asked the Kage. Something is happening, something with all 9 Jinchuriki, and if Obito wants them we will protect them the best we can, Hiruzen answered. Anything Elec, Dad? Asuma asked his father. Yes, try and get some of the residents of the other villages to the Get Tobe named police, Hiruzen replied as he saw all of the residents of the Uzumaki compound walking up to him. Are you ready? Hiruzen asked them. We are, Naruto said as the others nodded their heads as the ghosts formed outside their guardians. Good, I have already briefed the ninja that is going with you to Kiri and the other villages and adventures that will happen on your journey, Hiruzen said to the 10-year-old. Naruto nodded his head, and when they were about to head out, something materialized in front of them. There were bricks with roofs over the top of them. 10 speed. There was one for each of them, each with a different color. What is this? Iris asked as golden flames erupted from his hands. Naruto walked up to them and found a note attached to one of them. It was crimson and orange with the Omnitrix symbol on it. The note read, Dear Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki, the wilder of my Omnitrix. After seeing you within your mind, I have grown to like you not much but some, so I have made these 10 speed bikes for you to travel to around your world. I have sent you the blueprints and tools so that if there are any problems you could fix anything that will go wrong. Yours sincerely, Asmith, the greatest mind in 5 galaxies and creator of the Omnitrix. Gigi Asmith sent these to use as a thank you for saving the universe from Vilgax, Naruto said to Hiruzen. Hiruzen nodded his head, and everyone went on a bike each. Naruto hoped on the crimson and orange one with the wolf pups seemingly in a baby carrier on his chest. Guy on one that was the same shade of green as his skin suit. Kakashi got on a silver one while Isis sat on one that was gold. Jiraiya got on one that was red and green while Tsunade got on one that was white and blue. Rin got on one that was gray and maroon while Anko got on one that was purple. Hana and Tsum Inuzuka both got on ones that each had sidecars that their ninja hounds sat in. And if you asked anyone that day where the googles that all the dogs and wolves had on came from, they would shrug. Kurenai sat in one that was rose red while Rias sat in one that was pure crimson. Wendy sat on one that had a white feather-like pattern with a sidecar that Carla sat in, while Asa sat on one with leaf-like design with Alvin sitting on her head. Mana got on one that was baby blue and pink. Tori sat on one that was lemon yellow. T sat on one that was apple red and gold. Serenity ST on one that was navy and red, and Anzu sat on one that was mint green and silver. Blank's was light pink while Mimi's was hot pink. Madara's was red, and while Mikado's was red and black. Hashirama's was brown, and her sister's one was white and blue while Mito's was crimson in a spiraling pattern. Triss was black with some red with her dragon on her back like Kazara, but hers was bluish-white with some blue. Beast was black and gold with the gold. Supi's was silver and blue. Asuma's was white, green, and red while Shizun's was baby blue. Hizashi Hyuga's was black and white while Sasha's one was sapphire blue. Tenzo's was brown and green while Yugao's purple and silver. After a few minutes, they all got the hang of using the 10 speeds. Hiruzen walked in front of them and yelled, "Good luck." And once he said that, all of them set off. Soul System, Deep Space. Flying now deep space was a monstrous insectoid with 3 beings following next to it. "This is the next world that shall be greeted by the Great One," one of them said. "They should be glad that their planet will be used for feeding the Great One," another said. They turned to see a planet made of mostly water, large clusters of landmass. This is planet Earth. Planet Earth, land of fire, 2 days from Konoha. The large team that was heading thou to the land of water, they started to set up their tents for the coming night. After an hour of setting up the tents, They all were setting up a place to eat and to train Naruto so that he could be ready for when he is fighting in a war. Okay, you and Hokage-sama, who has helped you with all of your forms, and you have been proceeding well at using them, Kakashi said as he looked at the younger Uzumaki. But Hokage-sama wants you to be at Jounin level by the time we get home, so, Kakashi trailed off. So pick a form, and we will go from there, Guy said with his sparkling smile. Naruto nodded his head, activated the Omnitrix and turned to Humongouser, and when he slammed it down it turned into something new. Naruto started to expand and inflate as yellow armor plating began to form on his back and arms. He rolled up in a ball and started to rotate. The ball was bathed in light, and when the light died down, it showed that the plates turned from yellow to crimson, with back flames either side of the ball, and once the ball stopped spinning it unfurled and yelled showing that the Omnitrix dial was in the middle on his forehead. Cannon bolt. Naruto stood in his new form uneasy, and when he tried to move he fell flat on his chest, meaning his face. Ow! Naruto said muffled by the ground beneath him. You okay, kid? Anko asked as Guy and Kakashi helped him back on his feet. Yeah, just hard to stand in this form, Naruto said as he moves his feet further from each other so that he could stand easier. You called yourself Cannon Bolt, so, and you're an Arburian Pellerota, Tetrax said as he looked Naruto over. Can you tell us more about Arburian Pellerota? Kakashi asked as the others came over to help in the training. They can turn into a shell-like ball that is used for travel, and it is resistant to most things once they are in the shell form, but they are clumsy, Tetrax said as he tried to think of more. Naruto nodding his head turned into his ball form and started to roll around and started to pretty fast as well. Okay, you can stop now, Rin said as she could see Naruto going fast. I can't, he yelled back to them. Oh, and when they gather to much speed, they cannot stop or change direction, Tetrax continued as the others looked at him like it was too late. And Naruto hit a hard tree, and then it turned into a game of pinball with Naruto as the ball. Rim jumped over Naruto as he came for her. He hit a rock and started to go for Tsunade, and she punched Naruto toward Guy. As he neared the blue beast of the leaf, Guy kicked him to Kakashi, who called a wall of stone with dog faces on it. Naruto rebounded off the wall to Kurenai. Kurenai threw 2 kunai in the ground attached Byu ninja wire, and when Naruto hit the wire and he was sent to Jiraiya. Jiraiya waved his hair and slapped Naruto to Anko. Anko threw her left arm out, and snake shout out wrapping around Naruto's ball form, and Anko threw him at Shizune. Shizune flowed Rin and jumped over Naruto as he hit Kakashi's wall once more and was sent to Hana. Hana started to look more feral, jumped and turned into a tornado and slammed into Naruto. Naruto rebounded and was sent back to Kakashi's wall, but with the extra speed he was sent through the wall to Rias. Rias, seeing her soon-to-be husband coming fast towards her, she gathered crimson and black energy in her hands, sent the blast to Naruto, which sent him to Tsum. Tsum, like her daughter, jumped and turned into a tornado and slammed into Naruto, and like with Hana he was rebounded as an even faster speed to Carla. Carla cartwheels into a dropkick on Naruto and sent him to Asuma. Seeing that it was his turn and a giant blast of wind shot out of his mouth, and it sent Naruto even faster at Bastet. Bastet held up a hand and energy formed around her, and once Naruto had hit it, he was shot at Mimi. Mimi, seeing that the human turned Arburian Pellerota, and she threw a large rock at it, sending him to Isis. Isis gathered golden flames in her left hand and held her hand, and all the flames hit Naruto and sending Naruto, whose shell now on fire, to Yugao. Yugao, seeing the high-speed flaming projectile coming towards her, summoned forth orbs of lightning and sent them at Naruto. When the lightning orbs hit him, it sent him to the next person with lighting coating the flames that involved his shell, which would be Blanc. Blanc stabbed her trident in the ground and made a wave of energy that shot Naruto to Yamato. Yamato summons woven branches that interlock in front of him to become a barrier that sent Naruto to Mana. Mana, seeing Naruto coming to her like a lightning fireball of doom, she pulled out 2 cylinders. One of them sucked Naruto into it and the other one-shot Naruto out of it to Hizashi. Hizashi started to spin at a tremendous speed and rebounded off of him to Kizara. Kizara, seeing Naruto on his way over to her, and she started gathering in her mouth and shot out a blast of pure white light at Naruto that sent him to Mikoto. Mikoto, seeing Naruto coming to her, opens her mouth, and a large mass of water shoots out and forms a dragon-like construct and hits Naruto, dousing the flames, but the lightning stays, thus makes him faster and is sent flying towards Trinity. Now, like Trinity does what she normally does, she shot out a blast of black flame at Naruto, reigniting the lighting flaming shell and sent him to Sasha. Sasha, seeing that the flaming projectile by the name of Naruto was on his way over to her, she held out a finger as blue energy shot out and sent him flying to Suppi. Suppi held her palm out, and once Naruto touched it, he was shot out to Hashirama. Hashirama just summoned a giant wall with a demonic face on it that sent Naruto to the next person, which would be T. T crossed her arms as Waster formed around her, making a defensive barrier for her, and when Naruto had hit it, he was doused once more and sent him to Wendy. Wendy wings her hand and subsequently generates a massive and mighty tornado that sucks up Naruto, putting out the lighting and flings him over to Asa. Asa meeped and sunk into the ground, forcing Naruto to go for Serenity. How copied her sister and summon a defensive barrier but made of fire instead of water. Let's say Naruto is once more on fire and heading towards him. Many great-grandmother. Mito activated her Rinnegan and used Shinra Tensei and shot Naruto at Tori. As Naruto neared Tori and she summoned swords of a blinding light formed in front of her and stopped Naruto from going any further and sent him at Tobium, who sees him coming and calls forth Suetun Suryuden no Jutsu and pushing him to Tetrax. Tetrax summoned a wall of crystal and Naruto bounced off and was sent to Madara, who had called her Susanoo and grabbed either side of the shell to slow its momentum. Once she had stopped him, Naruto unfurled and said, "Sorry" to all of them. "You okay, kid?" Anko asked him once more as Madara put Naruto back on his feet. "Less okay," Naruto said. He put himself on steady feet. For the rest of the time that he was transformed, they trained Naruto when he was Cannonbolt. "Well, we now know something," Hizashi said as he sat on a log. "What's that, sensei?" Mimi asked. When Naruto was Cannonbolt, his shell coated fire and then the flames themselves were coated in lighting, he said, getting a nod from the overs. "Do you think that any of my other aliens and do the same?" Naruto asked the man. "Aye," Hizashi as saying before a loud bang was heard above them. "What is that?" Anko asked the dojutsu users to see if they could make it out. "It looks like a tick," Makoto said, confused, raising her voice. The tick started soaring until it crashed not far from them. Boom! Dot. Not soon after the explosion, a giant shockwave hit and they all over their eyes from the roaring winds that was coming their way. Naruto held out his palm, and Kushina realized. "If you would, Kushina," Naruto asked his ghost. "No problem," she said as she floated away, and thou a forest. Crash site. Kushina floated out of the forest and could see a giant creature sucking the life out of the ground and 3 aliens on platforms floating around the giant creature. The first alien is a tall, pale-skinned alien with 6 tentacle-like feet. This one appears to be able to talk to the giant creature. The final alien is of medium height, has 4 eye stalks, and carries a large axe. "This is not good," Kushina thinks as the whispers. "Sundance, come in." "This is Sundance, what do you need, Kushina?" the ghost of Rin asked. "This is what is happening," Kushina said as she sent the footage to the others. Back at the campsite, everyone was watching the footage of the tick that was destroying the land. "This creature seems to be draining all life from the planet," Kushina's voice said through the video. "Tetrax, do you know what that is?" Naruto asked the Petrosapian. "Year that is called the Great One, it feeds of planets," he said as he watched the video. "What do we do?" Kakashi asked Naruto, his soon-to-be chief of police Earth branch. Naruto watched the video feed, and when he saw the 3 aliens, he got an idea. "We need to take out those 3 to start with. Guy and Hizashi are going to take out the one with the axe. If they haven't got their muscle, they can't have much of a defense. Kakashi and Kurani will take the lanky light blue one, so they without a leader. It is then the yellow one that Anko and the Mito will handle," Naruto said as he got nods from the overs. "When the 3 are dealt with, we destroy this thing." Crash site. The 3 aliens were flying around. Just when they were passing, the big one with the axe was sent flying off his podium with a cry of "Dynamiku and Tori, dynamic entry," as Guy kicked the axe-wielding alien in the face, sending it to Hizashi, who was waiting in the Juken stance, and with a powerful thrush of his palm and the cry of "Hack Kusho," 8 trigrams vacuum palm. A blast of air at the alien, sending it at the Great One, knocking the axe-wielding alien. The other 2 turned to Guy and Hizashi, but the blue one's platform was sucked into a black hole as he plummeted. Place her palms on the ground and yelling, "Ninpo? Wana Ana? Ninja art. Trap hole." The ground formed a hole that the leader fell in. The last of the worshippers tried to run away but found himself face to face with a Mito with the Rinnegan on. "It's no use running," she said as she placed her palm on its chest and said, "Shinra Tensei." The worshipper was sent flying to her snakes wrapped around it. A grinning Anko on the other end, the snakes threw the final one in the hole that the leader fell in and where Guy threw the axe-wielding alien. That was remarkably easy, Kurenai said as tentacles shot out of the ground. You had to say something, Anko said as she got ready for a fight. Luna Inspiration, Moonblast. Supi called as a blast of moonlight shot out of her staff and hit the tentacles. With them dealt with, let's deal with this thing, Naruto said, getting ready to attack. I shall go first, Guy said as he stood ready and started to gather chakra and yelled, Kimenkai, Gate of View release. Guy's skin turns a dark red, and a green aura starts to form around him. What is this? Rias asks Kakashi. One of the most dangerous double-side swords, was all Kakashi said. It called the 8-gate formation, and with every gate that is open the more strengths they have, Tsunade continued as she turns to Rias. But once all 8 open, you have the power to take on all 5 Kage. But you die once you use it, Jiraiya finished shocking Rias and the other magic users. Thank my mother's moon that he is only using 6 of the 8 gates, Naruto said, reading the breath that he was holding as he could see Guy get ready to fight. Asa Kajaku, Morning Peacock. Guy yells as he jumps into the air in a distinctive stance and starts punching at the Great One repeatedly. His punches are so fast that they are set ablaze by sheer speed and friction, which in turn creates a peacock-like fan of flames around the Great One. And once he's done, there are only minuscule cracks in its shell. My turn, Kakashi said as he went thou 3 hand signs, Ox Rabbit Monkey Raikiri, Lightning Cutter. He calls as lighting starts to form around his hand and ran full speed at the Great One. His hand pierced its armor and course more cracks to the shell. Me now, Kurenai said as she throws a kunai with an explosive tag on the end at one of the cracks, making it bigger. Anko bit her finger and yelled, Kuchios no Jutsu, summoning technique. And a massive cloud of smoke formed, and when the smoke was dissipated, it was shown to be a giant hot pink snake colored and had black rings running down intervals on its body. It had massive fangs and green eyes. It also had 2 horn-like protrusions on his head. Why have you summoned me, Anko? The snake asked Anko in a voice that sounds like a princess, and when she pointed to the Great One it hissed, I see this will be fun. Thank you, Mickey, Anko said to her as Mickey wrapped around the Great One, creating more cracks in the shell. Hana and the triplets that were now clones of Hana start to roll at a ferocious speed in a buzzsaw-like a shape, and once they hit the Great One, it made more cracks in the shell. Sum and Karamaru jump in the air and yell Gutsuga, Fong passing Fong. And once they hit, more cracks form and phases of the shell start to fall off. Asuma got in close to the Great One and yelled, Katan. Heizukisho, fire release. Ash pile burning. Spews a stream ash from their mouth, which surrounds the region. The ash stays in the air around the Great One like a cloud. After surrounding the enemy with the ash, Asuma then grits his teeth beforehand to create a spark, resulting in a violent explosion, burning the Great One. When the explosion happened, it screeched in pain and has most of its shell destroyed. Mimi goes thou 3 hand sills and yelled, Futon. Shinkajyoku, wind release, vacuum sphere. She releases a massive blast of air that piercing the flesh of the Great One as it piercing once more. It lets loose some acid that makes Mickey dispel, and for Hizashi to use Hack Kusho, once more to push the acid away. Yugao starts channeling lightning thou her katana and cut thou the flesh of the Great One. Just as Yamato was going to do something, Hashirama stopped him. We must save our chakra to save the land with our Mokuton, would release, she said to him. Yes, lady first, Yamato said, and they both started to gather chakra. The 2 Uchiha nodded at each other. Makoto exhaled a massive fireball, while Madara used her gunbai to make the flames bigger and burn the Great One. Mito summoned her Zanpakuto and said, Roar Tenken. She holds her blade out as a giant phantom blade in the arm of a phantom giant's arm, and as Mito slashes at the Great One, the phantom blade does more damage to the Great One. Water starts forming around Tobium's arm, and it dills into the Great One, making its blood to begin leaking out. Noro, seeing that the Omnitrix was ready once more, he turned into his new form of Cannonbolt and at his full speed ramming himself thou the Great One to the inside, where he started to destroy everything that was in his way. And once its heart exploded, it started to deflate as Naruto burst out of it, and when the 3 worshippers tried to get out of the hole, Naruto in his ball form landed on them, knocking them out. 3 hours later, after they had cleaned up the mess and gave life back to the land spaceships landed near them, out came Obi-Wan and Shakti. Hello there, Obi-Wan said. Sol system, planet Earth, land of noodles. The group was riding their way through the forest to their overnight in Call Slifer Red that was 5 minutes from the border between the lands of fire and noodles. As they reached their overnight inn, they see a beach hut with many rooms, and it had a red roof. "Is this where we're staying?" Anko asked Naruto. "I asked Guy to book us a stay in an inn, and he said that it was a brilliant place to stay," Naruto replied as they all looked at Guy. "Let's go, my friends," Guy said while striking nice guy pose. "Let's just go," Asuma said as he already knows what Guy was like as he was his teammate when they were genin. Land of Noodles, Domino City. In a junk, a shadow moves over the place with 2 red eyes illuminated, and as it passed stood in front of a giant mound of scrap. It held out its arm. The arm has a massive blue armor that was just before a 2-pincer hand. Electricity jumped out of hand and into the scrap mound. The mound shook as a large body climbed out of the scrap. "Objective: destroy," the shadow said in a glitchy, robotic voice. A large bluish-white ring lighted up and started to glow ominously as other lights began to turn on. The next day, as the group is leaving the Slifer Red Inn. As they all got back on their 10 speeds and speeder bike, Guy was the only one that was in a good mood. "Wasn't that great?" Guy asked the others, only to see that he was getting glares from all those around him. "Kakashi, you are booking the next inn," was Naruto's response to that. As so they set off where there was a fork in the road. "Which way do we go?" Naruto asked the others. "Down the center," Carla said while only getting 35 nods. "I say we go left," Wendy said as her exceed familiar looks at the Dragon Slayer with a face of betrayal, but Rin spoke, getting looks of betrayal from both of them. "No, we go right," the hunter said. All 3 of them was during the other 2 to argue. "Well, there are 3 ways, so Rochambeau I say," Kurenai said, getting 3 nods. First round. Rin scissors. Carla scissors. Wendy paper. Second round. Rin scissors. Carla rock. Winner Rin. "Well, it looks like we're going right," Naruto said as Wendy and Carla started to pout cutely. They all set off down the trail, and after 5 minutes, they started to see smoke rising from the end of the forest. "What is that?" Batet asked, pointing to the smoke. As they get closer to the smoke, they see the capital of the land of Noodles, Domino City. The city looks like a war zone with the buildings reacted. Smashed glass littered the street. Tents littered the streets with the citizens of the city were retrieving aid and shelter from whatever happened here. "Obasanyu, Hizashi, and Shizen helped the wounded," Naruto said as they passed the tents, getting nods from the 3. "Kakashi, summon one of your hounds and try and get some aid for Domino," Naruto said as the copy ninja summoned a small pug and sent it off. "Now what, Naruto?" Suppi asked, and they parked up. "We split off into teams of 3, Naruto said, looking out at the destroyed city. "Team 1 will be me, Mikoto, and Mito," Naruto said, getting nods from the 2 ladies. "Team 2 is Kakashi, Rin, and Guy." Guy pulled the nice guy pose, Kakashi pulled out his book, and Rin pulled out her hand cannon and took off. "Team 3 is Hashirama, Madara, and Tobium." As the words left Naruto's mouths, the 3 jumped off. "Okay then. Team 4 is Ajisen, Obi-Wan, and Master." The Jedi and Jiraiya nodded their head not before they left, with Obi-Wan and Shakti saying, "May the Force be with you." "May the Force be with you," Naruto replied to his master and turned back to the others. "Team 5 will be Asuma, Tenzo, and Serenity." They nodded their heads and moved out. "Team 6 Kurenai, Anko, and Isis. You are going to be the defense to the tents with Team 7 and 8. Naruto said as the 3 nodded, and he soon added, "Team 7 is Rias, Mimi, and Blanc, while Team 8 is Tsum, Trish, and Enzu." "Got it," Anko said as the 3 teams went to guard the tents. "Team 9 Yugao, Hana, also will start making shelters for the civilians," Naruto said to them, jetting nods from the. "Team 10 is Suppi, Wendy, and Carla. You will be our eyes in the sky," Naruto said to the 3 as Carla grew a pair of angel wings and grabbed Wendy and flew up, while Suppi turned into a falcon and joined the 2 in the air. "Team 11 is Mana, T, and Sasha, and Team 12 are Batet, Tori, and Kazara. I want you to round up anyone that is still in some of these buildings," Naruto said to the 6 of them before they moved out and went into the buildings. "Shall we?" Mikoto asked, getting nods from the 2 Uzumakis. With Team 2. Team 2 walked through the rubble. They started to get near. What did this? Kakashi began thinking about what happened to his Team 7. The dark half of Madara saved Obito and turned on the leaf, which leads to the death of the 4th Hokage. Himself killed Rin and turned into a lapdog for the civilian council of Konoha. Rin, previous Jinchuriki of the Tree Tails, killed by him, brought back to life and is no one of Naruto's future wives. Kurama killed Minato once it was realized from Artemis who was Kushina by Obito. But only one thing kept going through his mind in a voice that was not his or anyone that he knew. Lapdog for the civilian council. Guy, am I lapdog of the civilian council? Kakashi asked his rival. Lapdog for the civilian council. Why do you ask? The green spandex wearing ninja asked. Lapdog for the civilian council. Kakashi looked ahead at Rin, who was looking for the thing that did this. Rin said it to me and I have been thinking it over and I want to know if she is right, he said to the taijutsu master. Lapdog for the civilian council. Guy looked at his friend and rival and said only one word, yes. Lapdog for the civilian council. Kakashi looked over to him and Sogai continued. When Lord Fourth died you only answered to the council, and when the Uchiha massacre happened you started to lie about things that deserved to brought to the Hokage that I have kept quiet. Lapdog for the civilian council. I see, Kakashi said as he looked at the ground and turned to Guy. How do I atone for my sins? He asked. Lapdog for the civilian council. By fixing the problem, kill Obito, teach Naruto, save Konoha, and most importantly live, Guy answered. Lapdog for the civilian council. I see, Kakashi said as he went over everything that he has done in the past that would count as disobedience to the Hokage, and what De has done, and bit his finger and summoned another hound. For the civilian council. The words continued, only this time they started to quiet down as he pulled out a scroll that held all of the civilian council's dark secrets and all they have done over their 10 years. Yo Kakashi, what you need? The dog asked him. The civilian council. I need you to this to Lord Hokage and say something for me, Kakashi said to the dog. The civilian council. What is that? Asked the dog. The civilian council. The word said only this time Kakashi said them in unison as the are trying to take over Konoha for Danzo. The dog nodded its head and ran off to Konoha with the word no longer going over in his head, and he could feel his will of fire return to him. Well done, my rival, Guy said as he looked at Kakashi, feeling a new fire burning in him. All I needed was a friend, Kakashi said as he pulled up his headband to use his Sharingan to help him look better. That and an annoying voice in my head. As Kakashi said that, Rin turned around with her hand cannon put pointed behind them. Causing the two to turn around, they see a woman with black hair walking away as she held a mirror in her hands. She turned around and looked at Kakashi and said a word that none of them could hear what she and said because as a rumble of thunder was heard above them. But Kakashi with his Sharingan read her lips. She looked up in annoyance, nodding her head and turned into a bolt of lighting and shot up to the sky. Who was she? Rin asked as she lowered her hand cannon. Family, Kakashi said as a tear dropped from his eye with a smile and walked onward to find the thing that turned this city into a disaster movie. Well done, son, was the word that her. Land of Fire, Konoha Hokage office. Hiruzen was at his desk going over everything that his job needed him to do as a pug jumped out the window with a scroll in his mouth. The pug jumped up on the desk and dropped the scroll and said, "From Kakashi," and puffed away. That was interesting, Sajira said as she hovered over. Hiruzen picked up the scroll and read through it and nodded his head and turned to his ghost. What rank do you say as he showed her the scroll? I would say B rank, so, and we could have an ally with Domino City as they have got good medic care, so if we ally with them we could gain some of that, she said, and Hiruzen nodded his head and they call a team of Chunin. As they were returning to their jobs, another of Kakashi's hounds was through the window with a scroll. Yes, Hiruzen asked, confused as of why Kakashi would send two hounds. The dog put the scroll on the desk and said something that got both Hiruzen and Sajira on edge. The civilian council are trying to take over Konoha for Danzo. The dog puffed out. Hiruzen was instantly on the scroll reading everything that the civilian council has done and what they have been planning, and the more he and Sajira read, the more Ki was released into the air, and he yelled, Anbu Tiomi. In that instance, all Umbu appeared before their Kage looking ready for a war that was about to happen. Gather all of the civilian council and send them all to Abaki, and also tell him that if they try to put up a fuss that he can use all his power to get the information, Hiruzen said as they moved out. Hiruzen got out of his chair and started to make his way to where the elders are, and as he reached the door, he did not open it the usual way. No, he walked up, raised his leg, and Spartan kicked it open. But the door did not swing open. No, it flew into the room. Into and thou the wall opposite. The root that was in the room jumped down to defend the spectral blade of the Hokage cut down their leader, and he turned to the three that looked on, and they felt the power of the sun upon them. Hiruzen, what is? Hamura started saying before he was kicked in the face by Hiruzen as the spectral blade faded out of existence. Shut the fuck up, Hiruzen said as he looked at his former teammates. You three are no longer required on the council, he said with a voice of anger, and was generally pissed off with the three in front of him. What do you mean? Koharu asked as she felt the eyes of Hiruzen on her, and for the first time in a long time she felt fear of her old friend. Oh, I mean this, the Kage spat as he threw the evidence that Kakashi sent to him on the floor in front of them. When the three looked at the scroll and papers that were there, they realized that they have screwed up and each one of them was thinking a different thing. Danzo said that Kakashi would never return to the Hokage, he would stay loyal to us, Hamura thought as he looked at the rays of rage that was Hiruzen's Sarutobi. I should have never gone along with Danzo, but he had that dirt on me for my daughter, Koharu was thinking. Daimyo Hitaki, all you had to do was stay my lapdog, now look what you have done. Danzo thought as he looked at his old friend, and he knows now that if he messed up, he would be executed for it. I will say this only once, Hiruzen said as he looked deeply into the eyes of his old team. If you so much sped a toe out of line, I will end you all where you stand. Hiruzen started walking out but stopped by the door and said, and for the last time, Danzo, shut down Root, or I will take you out of existence. With that said, Hiruzen walked out and made his way out of there as the elders sat in silence. Land of Noodles, Domino City with Team 1. Naruto walked through the rubble with Mito and Mikoto, and as they heard a loud bang of something going through a building. The three ran up and met up with Teams 2 and 3 as they found out what has been destroying the city. It was a massive robot that was the size of a mid-class summon. The body seemed to be made out of a train from the land of spring. Its arms were massive hunks of metal with 4 fingers like stubs. The same could be said for the legs. Its head looked like a lamp. The main thing of notice was the bluish-white ring in its chest that glowed ominously. The robot turned to them, and the bluish-white ring pulsed with light and reader one of its arms back and sent it at them while Naruto slammed the Omnitrix down and turned into upgrade and started firing lasers from his eye. The lasers bounced off of the body as Mikoto got behind the robot with her Sharingan active, and threw an explosive kunai in the joints of the arm. The robot swung its arm to try and hit the Uchiha woman only to get its arm caught and trapped in wooded vines that had a Madara Uchiha running up them with her gunbai, and as the explosive kunai went off the arm came with it went for the head. Just as the gunbai was getting close to the head, the arm that had been served shot a laser at Madara sending her back as she used the gunbai as a shield, and when Tobium jumped forward, Madara sent her ahead with extra power. Suetun, Koka Suejin, Water Release, Hard Whirlpool Water Blade. Tobium said as a water blade burst around her arm and cut one of its legs. Kamui Kakashi called as a black hole formed around the right leg of the robot, and when it was done it started to fall back and crash into more building when Rin was running up the body with Mito, and they both called on their light and attacked. Rin formed her arc staff in her hands and started going ham on the robot, taking out bits of the robot while Mito had purple energy flowing through her as a shield formed in her hands, and she started using to beat at the head of the robot. As the robot was dealing with the 2 light bearers, Naruto sank into the severed arm of the robot and turned it into a futuristic cannon for him to use. Naruto aimed and started firing energy blasts from the cannon, and as the 2 light bearers jumped off a shot at the center where the ring was, and it began to shut down. Just as it was going to fire its laser at the ones that did this, crystals started to form, trapping it in place as the 2 Jedi with their lightsabers out penetrated the center. Guy kicked its head off while Jiraiya summoned his dagger form. The coin shot out a laser from it. Sorry I'm late, Tetrax said as he walked up to the ninja. Underground base. In an old lap surrounded by a jungle, a robot that looked to be a mishmash of parts stood in front of screens that showed all of the destruction that had been happening in the Domino City. The robot looked at the video of Naruto and the Konoha teams taking out the robot that destroyed Domino City and said in a broken synthesized voice, Project Locomotion Failure. it said as its singular red eye glowed, as the screens changed to blueprints of many other robots. Project Gaia activating. Land of Fire, Konoha Hokage office. Hiruzen was back in his office after sending a large team of Chunin to aid the people of Domino City when there was a knock on the door. Enter, Hiruzen said, and as the door opened it was Koharu. Hiruzen, I have to explain why I did what I did, she said to the Kage. Hiruzen looked at her, and he nodded and nodded his head. Right, do you remember the first war when we were teens? Koharu said, getting a nod from the Kage. The night in the cave, she continued. Yes, it was a week before me and Biwako got together, he said as Sagira hovered there. Well, the week after the sex that we had in the cave. Koharu took in a deep breath and said something that Hiruzen did not expect her to say. I had gotten pregnant with your child. Hiruzen was shocked into stillness. Danzo found out that my daughter was you and put her under his control, she continued, ignoring the shocked Sarutobi. And he said if I ever told you she would be the plaything of his root or worse. Who is she? Hiruzen asked when he had his brain started working once more. Orochi. OL system, planet Earth, land of fire, Konoha Hokage mansion, Hokage office at night. Hiruzen sat in his office as he thought over what Koharu had told him that one of his students was his child. Orochi, the student that he saw as a daughter. Turns out she was his daughter. And no, she was Danzo's puppet and forced to turn on the village. Sagira had gone and asked Biwako to come to his office. As said person walked in, Hiruzen turned to his wife and spoke. Biwako, thank you for coming, he said as he stood up. What is this about? She asked as she sat down in front of the desk. Well, I had found out that the civilian council was trying to take over Konoha for Danzo and the elders, Hiruzen said, shocking his wife, so he continued. One of the elders did it for their own gain while the other via blackmail. Who? She asked, angered that their old friends would do this. Hamura did it from his greed while Koharu did it for another reason, Hiruzen said as he could see arc energy start to gather over his wife's fists. And why is that? She asked as the arc energy moved up to her eyes. Danzo had threatened her with her daughter, Hiruzen, making Biwako stop the build upon arc energy. What? She asked, thinking about the mother of her granddaughter Moegi Shizuki Kazumitsuri. What about Shizuki? Knowing that she meant Hiruzen shook his head. Not her. During the first ninja war, me and Koharu were separated from Lady Second and our team. Yeah, you already told me this, she said, confused why he brought this up. Well, what I didn't tell you was that in the cave that me and Koharu had sex, and when we got together after the war Koharu found out she was pregnant with my child. Biwako was shocked once more, and no, she was feeling bad for both Koharu and Hiruzen. And with Danzo controlling Orochi and finding out what has happened, you must be devastated, dead inside, disappointed in myself. Yes, I am, Hiruzen said as he looks at his wife. We must tell Asuma, Kenji and Mimi about their older sister, she said, but to see the sad look on Hiruzen. What is it, Hiruzen? Kenji passed away 3 years ago, he said as Biwako realized that she had 2 of her triplets alive. Then tell Asuma and Mimi about Orochi so that they can help her return to the village, Biwako said, rubbing the tears out of her eyes. Very well, Hiruzen said as he bit his thumb and summoned a messenger ape. What can I do for you, Sarusaru? The small ape said. Joe, I need you to take this scroll to Asuma and Mimi, Hiruzen said, handing a scroll to the ape. Once the monkey had taken the scroll, he hand jumped out the window and started to make its way to the Land of Noodles. Land of Noodles are a yellow inn the next day. The group start to leave the inn they were in, and the building looked like a modern-esque building. The group was getting on to their bikes as a black and orange-haired monkey jumped onto the back of Asuma. SU, Mimi, I have a message from Sarusaru, the monkey said as it gave a scroll to Asuma and puffed out. Asuma opened the scroll, and when he started reading it, his eyes widening, and by the time he was done, he was a pale white. What is it about Asuma? His sister asked him. We have an older sister, Asuma said, looking at the Sannin. The Sannin looked at each other, trying to figure out what they mean until they realized that he was no looking at a married couple. He was looking at the 2 of the legendary Sannin, and there was one missing. And that would mean. Wait, are you telling me that Orochi is? The Toad Sage started. Yes, is my and Mimi's sister, Asuma said, getting a shocked look. How? Kakashi asked him. Well, Dad and Elder Koharu during the First War and well. Asuma trailed off. Everyone had nothing to say as they all were thinking that Orochi was Asuma and Mimi's older sister, and they were under the control of the madman Danzo. As they all moved back to their bikes, they all heard a large bang. In the sky above them, they see a spaceship falling from the sky to the northeast of them all. After a few seconds they hear a crash, they feel the shock wave from the wind that hit them all. Land of Noodles, forest. A silver metallic orb was falling from the sky, and it hit the ground. There was a massive boom. After a while, the orb started to hiss, and a door opened as a ball of hair with stubby feet stepped out with its long tail swaying behind it. Kaiku bye, it said as it hopped out. As it walked for a bit, it heard a hissing bark from behind it, and it started to run deep into the forest. Land of Noodles, entrance of forest. The team arrived at the forest entrance. They all dismounted their speeders and bikes as they stood in front of the forest. What is the name of this forest? Tetrax asked them. Forest, Asuma said as they looked in. What? Mana asked as she raised a brow. This forest is named Forest, Tsunade said and nodded her head and continued, I know. As they started to make their way in, they all heard a loud cry of, Kai! So they all began to run to the source of the noise. As they reached the source of the noise, they saw a ball of hair with stubby feet with a long tail being cornered by a large quadruped. It had silver scales and dark blue fur. It has a broad tail with large spikes that bristle with lightning start to arc around its body. Its head was serpentine with red slit eyes. It turned to them and roared at them as it moved to attack them, and it roared out a challenge to them, and then it jumped at them as they all moved out of the way of it. What in the name of Lady Magic are me facing? Beast asked as dark energy started to form around her arms. It's a Tobikadachi, Jiraiya said as his flute dagger formed in his hand. It's one of the more dangerous animals in the world. Naruto slammed down the Omnitrix and turned into Wildmutt, and with a roar of his name he started to fight tooth and tail with the Tobikadachi, and as they were fighting with Hana, Tsume and Kakashi the others were checking on the hairball. Are you alright? Obi-Wan asked it. Kukor by B, it said as it was getting to its feet watching Naruto and the dog uses to fight with the Tobikadachi. Naruto raised his claw and brought it down on the Tobikadachi, and just as he was about to hit it once more, its tail to swipe at him, stunning Naruto. Jarararrar, Naruto growled out at the Tobikadachi, and he was struggling to get to defeat the Tobikadachi, sent him flying into a tree with lightning arcing around Naruto's body. The hairball looked at Naruto struggling to get up and let out a loud yell of Kai, as green energy shot out of it and started to be absorbed into Naruto. Once it was all of the lighting that was arcing around, his body dissipated into the air. Naruto back on his feet and let out a roar and joined the others fighting. What just? Tsunade started saying, and the hairball seemed to be out of energy and was breathing heavy. Oh, I see it's a Kurobin, Tetrax said as he looked at the no-named Kurobin. A Kurobin? Shizune asked as she was giving the Petrosapian a look of confusion. Kurobins are one of the many of the Kori system, Obi-Wan started as he looked over the fight that was happening. The Kori system, Shizune asked. The Kori system is species that all name their names begin with Kori, Obi-Wan said as he turned his head to Shizune. They all have a similar ability, they can heal others, but it also gives up their power for the day. Kakashi formed a leech of lightning burst from his hand and around the neck of the Tobikadachi and mounted it as it started to be like a rodeo cowboy with the Tobikadachi. With Kakashi raiding it, bucking underneath him, trying to get him off by sending lighting at him, Kakashi was sending back to the Tobikadachi, and it continued to buck and ran deep into the forest. Gurare ra? Naruto asked. I have no idea, pup, Kuramaru said, looking at the path that the Tobikadachi. What did he ask? Tsunade asked Hana. What the hell just happened? She replied to the slug Sannin. Asuma, Guy, Kurenai go after that silver-haired idiot, Jiraiya told them, and the three set off to find the copy Nin. As the three left, the others turned to and tended to the Kurobin. They did not see a Venus flytrap come out of the ground. And it outed out to be Zetsu. So they are on their way to the Kiri, the white half said to the black half. Indeed, we must tell Obito about this, and we must tell him Rin is alive as well and wants nothing to do with him, the black half said before shrinking into the ground, hoping that they were quiet. But they were not quite enough for a Vulpermancer heard them. Naruto growled out a warning as the others turned to see Zetsu looking at them. "Who are you?" Obi-Wan said, ignited his lightsaber along with Shock T. "That is Zetsu the human flytrap," Jiraiya said as the flute dagger started to glow green. "So you know who we are?" the white half asked. "Yes, you a member of the Akatsuki and their information gatherer," Jiraiya said. "So you also know that you're heading for Kiri and that Orochi is the child of the Sandaime Hokage and the elder Koharu," the black half added as it started to sink into the ground. Before the head got beneath the ground, both halves spoke at the same time. "Obito will know about this, and he will strike first and before you can try and attack." As he sank into the ground and once before Naruto clawed at him, but he only clawed the ground. Land of Rain, Amigakure, Tower of Pain, Obito's view. As Obito looked over, Zetsu raised out of the ground behind him looking troubled as he came out of the ground and as Obito turned around. "What is it, Zetsu?" Obito asked as he looked at the plant person. "The Kyuubi Jinchuriki is known on guard from us," the white half said. "I see anything else?" Obito asked. "We also have learned more about some other things," the black half said, gaining the full attention of Obito. "Oh, and what are the other things?" Obito asked the plant man. "First, there are 7 powerful creatures that are sealed in the soul of the earth," the white one said, the real leader of the Akatsuki. "What are they?" Obito asked. "There is first the spider, who is said to be the father of all spiders and can control others with but a single bit of thread from its silk," the black half said. "Next is the hummingbird, who is the queen of the skies and with a flap of her wings will send wind that will destroy all that is in their way," the white half added. "The third is the monkey, who is the undisputed ruler of all Yungles and cannot die if others are around it," the black half continued. "The next is the lizard, queen of the earth and one that is said that destroyed all life in the land of wind and made it a desert," the white one said next. "The fourth is the giant, lord of the beasts and can transfer to all damage from it to anyone other than themselves," the black one said. "Then there is the killer whale, lord of the seas and it can swim anywhere it is," White Zetsu said, confusing Obito. "What do you mean, swim anywhere?" Obito asked. "He means that it does not need water to swim and can swim thou the land," Black Zetsu said before continued. "The final one is the condor. He is lord of death along with the leader of them, and he can send others to another dimension that he wants them to that will slowly corrupt them and obey him." Obito nodded his head as he absorbed this, and he had plans starting up in his head as he was putting all this information away in another place. "Anything else?" Obito asked the plant man. "2 things. First, the woman you love is calling you a filthy traitor, that Dose does not deserve her love, and that we would rather fall in love with someone that is near her age and a Konoha nin," White Zetsu lied to Obito. Obito looked at Zetsu, completely believing him, and said quietly quivering, "What?" "Yes, Rin Noera is brought back to life with one of those ghosts and said that she would rather have the dick of a loyal Uzumaki in her pussy than the tiny dick of the traitor of an Uchiha," Black Zetsu continued with the lie. "Well, then she means nothing to me, no," Obito said with no emotion. "The other thing, parenthood of Orochi," White Zetsu said. This shocked the traitor Uchiha. "And what is that parenthood?" he asked with increased interest. "Hiruzen Sarutobi and Koharu you detained from the first war, and Danzo was threatening Koharu with making Orochi's roots plaything," Black Zetsu continued. "So the Sandaime has had a basted child, and it was one the Sannin with it being the snake," he said chuckling, and then added. "And it was the one that he treated like his child. Oh, that us hilarious. What did his children think of this?" he asked Zetsu. "Mimi Sarutobi seems okay with it, but cannot help but think that if Danzo did not control Orochi what they would do," White Zetsu said. "While Asuma Sarutobi is pissed at Koharu Udatain for not telling Hiruzen Sarutobi that Orochi is his child," Black Zetsu added. "I see, let's gather the others and tell them about what you told me," Obito said, and after the others arrived Zetsu told them everything, and once Orochi heard about that she is the child of Hiruzen Sarutobi and Koharu Udatain, she was shocked, and Obito, Shin and Izumi could see for a second that the hold that Danzo has on Orochi was breaking. And that meant one thing for each of the Uchiha. She must remain loyal to the Akatsuki, so that the Mugen Tsukuyomi can be used, Obito thought. Mother is having second thoughts about attacking the leaf, Sin was thinking. She was breaking free, and once she is Konoha will have the Sannin once more and they will take down the Akatsuki, Izumi thought as she looked at her fellow Konoha nin. After all, the Akatsuki members have been sent off, gather money and information. Obito Sharingan started to burn to life, glaring into the rain. Filthy traitor, am I Rin? He said as his eyes turned into Mangekyo Sharingan. Well, that if that whore wants to take a dick from that creature, let that whore do what she wants. Obito pulled off his mask, and as it was in his hand, he started to crush it with his strength. Smash! The mask shattered in his hand as blood started to drip from his hand. Well, then you slut, if that what you want, then you will beg for mercy as I rip the Kyuubi out of Boy Toy, and as you cry for me to stop, I will kill you once more. Obito yelled as he was sucked into a black hole. Zetsu behind him looked at the rage-driven Uchiha and started laugh at the what he has started. Soon Mother will be back, and all these pitiful insects will face the wrath of Mother, and she will take power from them, Zetsu said as he walked up to overlook AIM. He looked down at the humans that were walking now the streets, glaring down at them. Mother will punish them all and take all their power. Madara may have failed, Zetsu started as he started to laugh. But Obito will be the one that will help me bring back Mother. Kagaya will live once more and take their power from them. Land of Noodles, Forest. Naruto and the others were sitting around waiting for Kakashi, Asuma, Guy and Kurenai to come back. They were tending to the Kuririn. They heard the sparking of electricity, and they turned to see Kakashi riding the Tobi-Kadachi with an eye smile. When the Kuririn could see the Tobi-Kadachi, it started to whimper. Kurr, it said. Don't worry, Dei, she won't hurt anyone, Shakti said, and she turned to see that everyone was looking at her strangely. What, I took Kuri as a major when Ayer's undercover. So your name is Dei, what are you doing on Earth? Naruto asked her. Kur by ku by be by, she said frantically. She said that she must get help because the Kuri system is under attack. Shakti was translating for her. From who? Naruto asked her. Kuri Kur, Dei said sadly. The separatists, Shakti replied.